Hello there, good afternoon and welcome to The Pulse. This broadcast is live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125 and on all our social media handles with JoyNews on TV. Coming up on The Pulse, President Mahama's administration facing a critical decision this afternoon, whether to scrap or suspend fuel taxes as pressure mounts from consumers. We have more as the decision hangs in the balance just minutes before Cabinet bids to consider measures to address the soaring fuel prices. We're live at the seat of government for the very latest. Also this afternoon on The Pulse, government racing to serve criminal summons on Ken Ofori-Atta, who is no longer in ICE custody, as extradition proceedings are expected before a U.S. judge at the end of April. We have details as private legal practitioner Martin Pebo criticizes the special prosecutor, accusing him of mishandling the office and the processes, as well as jeopardizing Ghana's chances of securing the extradition.
Ofori-Atta, for crying out loud, was given public office and he's done certain things that are alleged to be what?
This afternoon, we'll tell you what will happen next in Ken Ofori-Atta's legal troubles after spending nearly 90 days in custody. Also, years of neglected traffic lights have turned the Anyaa-Awoshie highway into a deadly stretch. We'll tell you more as families still mourn lives lost and residents plead for action.
They don't stop, they hit and run, they run away, no light.
And in today's episode of Climate Evidence, we'll look at how rising temperatures and that is actually affecting your mental health.
I feel like sleeping, but for me to enter the room to sleep, no.
There is that established relationship between extreme heat and mental health.
The Pulse, as always, is brought to you by Deaf and Drill Cough Expectorant, Deaf and Drill Breathe Easy, Feel Better. My name is Fostina Sarfo. It's a good time to take a seat and please be my guest.
Another week is here on the greatest of all time show. My name is Giovanni Clip, and tonight we're bringing you talent. Contestant number one, let's bring Baby Girl. Let's bring. You did it for you.
Cut. Oh, there is a leakage.
Where's the plumber? For quality and durability, insist on Syntex pipes.
If you want quality, this be where you belong.
Strong, tough, and reliable. Your perfect match to your trusted Syntex pipe. Syntex pipe, it dey carry water, no wahala. Syntex pipe, it dey make water dey flow. Syntex, and you're strong, and you're tough.
How may I help you today?
We'd like to open a bank account.
Sign here, sign here, sign here, and here. And now you draw direction to your house. I need your thumbprint. And I'll need your birth certificate too. No, I need the original.
A lot has changed since you banked like this. So have we. We've made it easier than ever to open an account online and bank on the go through our mobile app, online banking, and more. EcoBank, a better way to bank your way.
Sign here, and here.
EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Mom, So Kidivite contains 12 vitamins?
Yes, 12 essential vitamins that growing bodies need.
So we'll grow healthy and strong. And smart?
Absolutely.
Kidivite Multivitamin Tonic contains all the essential vitamins and nutrients needed for the healthy development of children from age 1 to 12 years. Also available, Kidivite Multivitamin Drops for babies under 12 months. Grow strong, grow healthy with Kidivite. Distributed by NS Chemist Limited. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Hi, now let me share my wildlife experience with you at Safari Valley Eco Park.
Welcome to Safari Valley Eco Park.
Our electric shuttle pulled up and in no time our tour began. We were surrounded by wildlife from the moment we entered the eco park. We were greeted by experienced tour guides who took us through orientation and how to better enjoy the experience. Watch these animals roam freely in their natural habitat undisturbed by our presence. We saw zebras, sable antelope, brown cranes, mara, silky chicken, nyalas, Shetland ponies, and so many animals I just couldn't keep up. Our tour guides taught us so much about the wildlife, their behavior, and how to interact with them. I even fed them. We also went fishing on a man-made canal. Then we took a break to have lunch in this serene environment. All this amazing experience for this price for adults? This price for teenagers. It's a bargain. As the sun began to set, it was time to go back home, but not before dinner by the campfire. It has been a thrill of a lifetime, and I can't wait till my next visit.
Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature.
All bets on sports. High odds. Fast payout. Bookmaker Company.
I'm ready to give it my all. My talent, dedication, heart, everything for this journey. What's all this?
Welcome to the Breakers.
You need more than a rhythm to survive these phases.
From humble beginnings in Abusokai to commanding global stages.
So we were selling aluminium and copper. I'm not sure whether you know Coliba and all that. I mean, we sort of bring them together and then crush it and then go and sell. And this is how we're surviving.
A young boy who once preached in buses from Odoko to Kaneshi. Today, as CEO of Exodus Communications Limited, he is the force behind some of Ghana's most influential platforms.
In fact, they promised me that we can raise $4 million. That day when I have formula to my wife, when I come back, store like 5. Maybe store. Charlie, this matter.
The prestigious 40 Under 40 Awards, now spanning Ghana, South Africa, the United Kingdom, and globally. He's also behind major industry platforms, including the Ghana Manufacturing Awards, Ghana Insurance Awards, and Ghana Oil and Gas Awards, celebrating excellence and elevating African brilliance onto the world stage.
Was that the dance that got you an A?
Bam, bam, bim, bim, baba. It's called a Damba dance.
Damba dance.
Yeah, because
this Friday on PM Personality Profile, we sit down with a man behind the movement.
Well, thanks for staying with us. To scrap or to suspend fuel taxes, that is the critical decision before Cabinet as it meets to respond to the soaring fuel prices. But beyond taxes, what real options does government have at this critical moment, especially as transport unions and operators threaten to increase transport fares? Well, we are taking a look at the choices on the table and the potential trade-offs for government. Joining me in the studio is our presidential affairs correspondent, Maxwell Agbagba, and also a member of our research desk here at JoyNews, data and research analyst Caleb Ziblim. Just walk us through some of the key things we should look forward to. But I'll start with Maxwell in the studio. What time is this crucial meeting expected to start?
Well, we're learning that meeting is expected to start in some minutes. It's scheduled to start at exactly 3 p.m. And we know that the president was out of the country. Of course, he was in France, and yesterday he held bilateral talks with the French President Emmanuel Macron. He also held discussions with the president of the French Senate, and he arrived in the country shortly after, particularly also for this, all-important meeting. We know that cabinet ministers are going to take part, in that particular conversation, but we know that this conversation really affects particular sectors, and the ministers responsible for these sectors are expected to play an active role in the discussions and in all the conversation and the measures that are likely going to be put forward. We're talking about the transport ministry, for instance, because when fuel prices go up, it affects the transport ministry. We're looking at the agric ministry also, because there's the issue also of fertilizers, for farmers, and how the ongoing Middle East conflict, can affect farmers. We're also talking about the energy ministry, of course, because we're talking about fuel. We're talking about other things as well.
Yes, and that push from transport operators to just cut down that 1 cedi levy on fuel prices. I'm sure that will also affect the energy ministry.
Exactly. So these ministers in charge of these key sectors are expected to participate actively in these discussions on the measures that government intends to roll out. Now, we have been speaking to our sources, and they tell us that the ceasefire that is in place now really is likely to put government in a really state of a dilemma.
Why exactly? I thought it was a good thing.
So some weeks ago when President Mahama spoke, he first talked about interventions that government intend to roll out, first at a meeting with the civil society organizations. And I remember it was Duncan Amwa who asked the question about what the interventions government intends to roll out to mitigate the effect of the rising cost of fuel on Ghanaians. And he responded and said that some of the weapons that government has in its arsenal is to make adjustments to the levies and margins on fuel. Now, some days later, at the Kwewu Business Forum in the Eastern region, in President Mahama's speech, he gave a bold assurance that the economy will not crash. And he went ahead to state that this emergency cabinet meeting would take place to discuss how to mitigate the impact of the rising fuel costs on Ghanaians. When he spoke, we didn't know when that meeting was going to take place, but our sources confirmed to us that that meeting is happening today, Thursday, at 3 o'clock p.m. Now, I talked about being in a state of dilemma because of the situation that we have in the Middle East now, which is there's a ceasefire in place now.
For 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks, there's a ceasefire in place. But now it changes the dynamics of the war. Governments has consistently told us about how important this energy sector levy, especially the 1 Ghana cedi levy on fuel, is. They tell us that partly we're enjoying stability in the energy sector, largely and partly because of that 1 cedi levy. Now that government knows that there's a ceasefire in place, it means it changes the dynamics of the war.
And so we're wondering if GPRT would actually reach a compromise with the demands for fair increment.
Exactly.
Indeed.
You remember also that after the announcement for the ceasefire was made, oil prices, which had climbed, above $100, quickly plunged to about 16%, and then rose up little, some hours later.
But how soon will we be feeling the effect? I'm sure that's the argument they'll be making when they go before
exactly.
cabinet.
So now it's a state of dilemma.
How soon will we be feeling the effect? What should we do as we speak? And those are questions we're looking forward to be answered at the cabinet meeting.
I just wish to be a fly on the wall in that room to see how the decisions, are going to be made. But our sources tell us that the ceasefire actually changes the dynamics, of everything. Now they would have to think about, okay, now that there's a ceasefire in place, there's a semblance of peace on the horizon, right? Should we go ahead and remove this critical?
Good question. Stay with me.
Should we scrap?
A lot of questions are coming up, and I don't want you to go yet because I have Caleb with me, and hopefully he can help me with some of the answers. We know that the Energy Ministry would be in that cabinet meeting together with members of GPRTU and other concerned drivers' union. And one of the key things they're pushing for is a reduction in fuel prices. They want government to cut down the taxes. They feel that's the way forward. But we've heard from the sector minister say we should hasten slowly with that. Walk us through what we know and some of the interventions that may likely come up during this meeting.
So let's come here, but if you look at the tax build or the price build-up of petroleum products in Ghana, the four main factors. We have the exchange rates, we have crude prices, taxes, and your profit margins. Now, what the government can do at this moment is just the taxes and levies, because the exchange rate is doing very well. For the past month, it's hovered between 10 cedis, 80 pesos, and 11 cedis. So that's very good news for the economy. So this is already in check. Then with crude prices, it's out of the hands of the government. Then we have taxes and levies. This is what the government can work on. And then the profit margins is largely on the private players, the BDCs and OMCs. And government cannot compel a private player to reduce their taxes. So this is also out of the picture. So the main thing that the government is going to focus on, what the government can do, is within the sector, the taxes and levies. Now, we heard from the Energy Ministry. He said that we should not make some decision that is going to affect us in the long run. And I think based on this, he's talking about the 1 cedi levy. And we know how important that levy is because we're making about 5.7 billion cedis annually from that levy. If you do the math, that's about 400, almost 500 million Ghana cedis every month. That's a lot of money. If you do it daily,
more than what we even got from the e-levy.
I think so. I'll do the math. If you check daily, that's about 15 million Ghana cedis. Okay. So every single day that 1 cedi levy is not in place, the government is going to lose 15 million Ghana cedis. Now, the argument is that you have to burden consumers. You have to reduce the burden on consumers. But if you reduce the burden on consumers, government keeps working all the time. So after the cycle, after the war, that whole period that you're not charging a 1 cedi levy, the government is going to have to cover that shortfall. And how do you cover that shortfall? So I think that's going to be the main focus of the cabinet meeting today. If the government decides to reduce some of the levies, they're going to have a shortfall. Now, on every liter of fuel that we buy, we pay about 4 cedis 20 pesos or 4 cedis 26 pesos. Some for diesel, some for petrol. It varies a bit. So this is the government's playing field at the moment. But then the extra levies, that's about almost 2 cedis. It's been consolidated. So it's going to be very difficult to pick some apart. And now the entire ESLA is used to reduce the energy sector debt. So picking up some parts of it is going to be a bit difficult, which is why I think when the president spoke, he spoke more of the margins. Now, margins are very, easier a bit, for the government to play around a bit because we have some margins on BOST. BOST has some margin. We pay, I think, about 9 pesos or so to BOST. We also have some UPPF margins. That's for the price parity in the country. So now if you are buying petrol in Ghana and Greater Accra region, in the northern region, it's the same price because the transportation cost is covered by some of the margins we pay within this 4 cedis 20 pesos. Now, the problem is that the UPPF margin, for instance, is a very large margin. Now, some part of it goes to the transportation of the petroleum products across the country. Another part of it also goes to the presidency. So how the presidency funds its fuel needs. There's a depot at the presidency. When the president travels, they get fuel and all of that. All of that is funded through the UPPF. Again, NPA, the operation of NPA, part of it comes from the UPPF. And then we have the Petroleum Hub Development Corporation. Again, they take part of their funding from the UPPF. So that margin, the UPPF, is something that the government can play with. You can say, okay, Petroleum Hub, we are reducing your allocation a bit for this period. NPA, reduce your allocation a bit, and then we can have some savings on the consumer side. Again, there are some various other margins, some pollution levy in there, but most of these things are very small. There's also the price stabilization levy, that's about 16 pesos. If the government suspends that levy, just 16 pesos, it's not even 20 pesos yet. So it's going to be very hard for the government to take out some individual taxes, but then if you look at the margins, the government can decide to cut the margins. And again, the margins are about 2 cedis, so they can't scrap the entire 2 cedis. So maybe if you're even lucky, that's going to be 1 cedi.
But is that enough for the transport operators to indeed pull the brakes on their demands. That's the conversation that we're having today. And I don't want to be in that meeting, although you want to be there. But it's quite difficult to reach a compromise at this time, knowing fully well that we don't know the future of this war. Exactly. But then let's look at the other individuals coming to the meeting, especially we've just heard breakdown of the energy ministry and what exactly they'll be looking out for. You also mentioned another strand to the conversation, which is the agri sector. Why is it important for them to make their case in this meeting?
Well, for the agri ministry, for instance, we've had concerns from some farmers in other parts of the world. Actually, they are beginning to feel the pinch when it comes to fertilizer. We know how the blockading of the Strait of Hormuz has actually cost a lot of economies. Some of them, Madagascar, for instance, declaring a state of emergency. Malawi struggling. Botswana, I have a friend in Botswana was telling me that they're having challenges when it comes to fuel and all of those things. So really, we're seeing a cascading effect with that blockade, not just regarding oil and fuel prices climbing, but also with access to fertilizers. I mean, other countries are beginning to feel the pinch. And like we say, if you see your friend's beard on fire, you don't get closer to a water source. In fact, you jump into the well. So I'm sure probably that is one thing that the Agri Ministry should also be concerned about, because we know that sometime last year, farmers, many of them during the food gluts, experienced a lot of losses. To the extent that some months, I think last month, President Mahama said that this year they are not going to pay for fertilizers. One thing this government would definitely be concerned about is to prevent another shock that would affect them, affect their yields, affect their produce, affect the monies that they make. Government definitely want to take a step to deal with that and stop it in its track. So yeah, Agri Ministry, but the transport minister definitely is going to play a critical role in all of this. And I'm sure definitely he'll be going into this meeting with his files on and plans on how to cushion Ghanaians, because earlier today, when we spoke to the GPRTU, when our colleague was on the ground, they were saying that, look, we need to take away some of these levies. If we do not take it off, then it means that we'll be forced to increase the price of transportation fares. And we know that if transportation fares goes up, everything will come,
Yeah, there's a ripple effect. Then we are paying for more items on our shelves. But let me come back to Caleb, because we saw that after the suspension, the ceasefire, we saw that crude prices began to drop. But the question on our lips is that how soon will we be feeling the effect here in Ghana? Let's do the math.
Well, unfortunately, I don't think that will be anytime soon. Because even after the ceasefire, we saw that Israel attacked Lebanon. And when that happened, the Iranians got mad at it. Then the Iranians started attacking other Middle Eastern countries. In fact, Saudi Arabia's pipeline between the East and West. So there's a pipeline that the Saudis used to avoid the Strait of Hormuz. That was attacked yesterday. And according to Bloomberg, the Strait of Hormuz, even though it was supposed to be open yesterday, only 3 vessels passed through the entire day. So even though there's a ceasefire, the strait is still effectively blocked. And the flow of oil from the strait is going to be very difficult in the coming months or in the coming weeks. So for the impact to be felt in the short term, that's impossible. Maybe we are talking about 3 months. That's even if the ceasefire holds, and if Iran doesn't decide to escalate things, or if the US and Israel doesn't, adhere to the terms of the ceasefire. So that's a problem. And I don't think we are going to see an end to this in the short term. So the government's looking at this again, should be looking for the next 2 or next 3 months. Again, because we are an oil exporting country, when the price of oil went up a bit, the country should benefit. So we looked at the data from last year. So last year at this time, March, whenever the oil producers produce oil, the government of Ghana gets some parts of it, and the government sells the oil. So last year, March 2025, so almost the same time last year, government got 905,000 barrels from Jubilee Fields. That was Ghana's share of the oil production, and Ghana sold it. So if we are using the $76 that the government budgeted for, the government was going to get some $68 million. Now, in the same period, we've seen oil prices stay around $100. So if you do the math, that's now $90.5 million. The government is going to get a windfall of $21.7 million. That's about $200 million, give or take. I remember I told you that if you take out the 1 cedi levy, the shortfall is going to be almost $500 million. So even if Ghana managed to sell our crude during this period and get a windfall of 200 million cedis, if we take out the 1 cedi levy, we're still going to have a shortfall. That's going to be paid somewhere through the budget, or some reallocations are going to happen. And Maxwell spoke about the price of fertilizer. Fertilizer prices are going through the roof. And again, the government says they're going to supply fertilizers to the farmers. So if price of fertilizer are also going up, the government needs to find more money to supply these same fertilizers to the farmers. So government needs to find money to supply fertilizers. That's one side. If you are going to reduce some of the margins and taxes, government is going to lose money again.
So where do you find the money then?
Where do you find
the big
money?
question.
Exactly.
We heard from the Iranians, they are hinting that moving forward, they may be tolling the Strait of Hormuz, where moving forward, if you want to use that stretch, you would have to pay some taxes. What would the ripple effect moving forward, especially for Ghana, and knowing fully well that we rely largely on imported crude oil?
Okay, so the good thing for Ghana is that we don't get most of our products from the Middle East. We get most of our products from Europe, not the Middle East.
And that is the picture on your screens now, if you're watching us.
Yes.
Please make the point.
Ghana doesn't get most of our products from the Middle East or through the Straits of Hormuz. We get it through Europe.
Okay.
The challenge is that because it's a global market, if there's a disruption, players move to where there's crude. So because the Strait is closed, most of the Asian countries, Pakistan, India, China, they are moving to Europe to get their crude, which is also increasing the prices. So if the Iranians start charging the vessels passing through the Straits, people are just naturally going to move from the Straits and move to other places where they get their crude. And it's going to affect Ghana here. Now, we are lucky that Dangote has started refining and there's some crude in the West African region. But unfortunately, Dangote gets his crude oil from other sources. And once they supply Dangote with crude oil, there's usually agreement that once you refine, give us part of the refined crude, the refined product that you've done with that crude oil. So the availability is going to be a challenge moving forward. Now, like I said, the supply of oil is abundant. There's abundant supply of oil. But then the traders always take these things into account. So when they see that the Straits, there are challenges passing through the Straits, price of oil goes up, and then when price goes up, fuel and then diesel, petrol also goes up. So if Iran starts charging, and it's still early days, I don't know if they'll start charging it yet, but if they start charging this, it's just going to mean the price of crude oil will stay elevated for some time. And it depends on the charges. If the charges are minimal, it shouldn't be too much of an impact. But then during the crisis, we heard Iran was charging about $2 million per vessel passing through the Straits. And that's a lot of money. And that's going to translate into higher crude prices higher petroleum prices on the market. So still early days yet. We need to understand whether the ceasefire will remain. If the ceasefire remains, I think government has some wiggle room. They can decide to say, let's wait for another week to see how things settle down. So we might not hear anything concrete today. But then if the government decides that, okay, they want to support the economy more and prevent the transfer fare hikes, there should be some compromise they are willing to make. But then like we discussed earlier, if you take out the 1 cedi, you're looking at a 500 million cedi hole for 1 month, or a 50 million cedi hole every single day. Again, you're going to supply farmers with fertilizer. You're going to spend more money on that. So understanding where the money is going to come from. And then the other side of the argument is that we export gold, and gold is doing very well at the moment. But then when George Weah spoke to Sami James a few weeks ago on PM Express, he said that gold would have stopped exporting gold for now because they don't want to sell gold during the heightened conflicts. Again, we know most of our small-scale gold goes to the Middle East, goes to Dubai.
Yeah.
Dubai serves as a transit point to some of the other markets. So finding buyers is also a little bit difficult at this moment.
So there are long-term implications for this.
Exactly. Even though gold prices are already above $4,000, if we're selling gold, we might be in a good position. But then finding buyers for your gold is another problem. And trying to get the buyers in Dubai or India, if you're going to change your markets, you're going to have to accept steeper discounts on the gold you are selling. So I think these are the dynamics that Cabinet is going to face today. If they can decide that we're going to get gold off-takers right now to support the economy, they can decide to do that, decide to sell some of our gold, use the windfall from gold to support the economy. That's another avenue that the government can look at.
But how about we looking internally with toll operations? Can that help us at this point in time?
So we know toll started operating, but then they had to stop operating because of some maintenance costs. So they are currently maintaining the operations at toll. So currently, I don't think they have come back on stream. They stopped operating some time ago, even though they were producing. So domestically, it's only Central that is currently producing the economy. And they produce about 30% of the economy's needs. Now, again, Central doesn't get the oil from the oil wells in the country. They have to import oil from other countries, their feedstock. So getting that feedstock is another challenge, and not just the availability of the feedstock, but then the price you're going to get for the crude. Once this war keeps going on, price of crude will stay elevated, and that feeds into Central's cost. So even though Central is producing domestically, the price that they're going to give to the OMC is going to be almost similar to the price that the OMCs get from importing, which is almost the same thing. So domestic, if TOR was operating at capacity, yes, but again, TOR doesn't also get its crude oil from Ghana. Ghana's oil is already sold. We already have some off-takers for Ghana's oil. The partners already have the agreements with the country on the oil that we produce. So unless maybe there's a change in some of the contracts that Ghana has signed with our off-takers to ensure that the oil produced in the country is fed direct to Central and then TOR, I don't think anything significant can change within the domestic production side of things. Money into the economy, then that's why we give them some of our oil. So some people have already paid for the oil. We can't just stop their contracts midway.
Thank you so much, Caleb. And we're looking forward to the outcome of that cabinet meeting. Let me wrap up with Maxwell, who's with me. I know you have your ears and your eyes in that meeting. Even before it starts, what should we expect?
Well, we are expecting that after that meeting, government would communicate what the outcome, was. Usually, you have Government Communications Minister Felix Kwachio-Fosu giving us the outcome. Usually for such high stakes meeting, of course, this is one of them. But we do not have any indication yet that there will be a briefing, after that cabinet meeting. If there is no briefing, then we're likely to get, a statement, after that cabinet meeting on the decisions that were made.
Thank you so much. And we're looking forward to that decision. You can be watching the JoyNews channel. We'll be sure to give you updates as soon as we have it. But ahead of that emergency cabinet meeting, drivers, including members of the Ghana Road Transport Union, have been calling for the removal of fuel taxes, like we told you, threatening to increase transport fares if government does not act. The government has so far managed to prevent a fare hike. The Deputy PRO of GPRTU, Samuel Amwa, says if nothing is done about the situation, they will be forced to increase transport fares.
So all that we want to hear from cabinet, tomorrow is that, there have been an intervention where the fuel price, will come down a little bit. And
yeah, I mean, GPLT, you understand the fuel market. What specifically are you looking for? Is it reduction in taxes, scrapping, suspension, or what are you looking for?
Yes, we suggested that if the government can suspend, some of the taxes for the meantime, because
which taxes specifically?
Okay, we were looking at the ESLA levy. The ESLA levy, formerly we were paying 95 pesos, and then 1 Ghana cedis was added to the ESLA levy, making 1 cedi 95 pesos. We were also looking at price stabilization and recovery levy, that one too. So if government can do something about it, I think just for a shorter period, because we know as the war is coming down now, there is an understanding between America and Iran. If that happens and everything being stabilized, we believe that we will come back to our normal season. And if government decide to bring those taxes back, yes, we will welcome it.
Well, JoyNews' Sheila Saki has visited some transport terminals. She has been engaging drivers who are actually pushing for fare increases, and also consumers as well as commuters who are opposing the increment. Watch.
Because by now, car tire and tissue, car engine and tissue, but say fuel as a cost. You who the say among your drivers, you are parking the lot of the cars. Are you? Say no more you see oba aka ABR near my betty me actually they say wa my near me na ayabasa. It is sereno on Nadia was all your no your fahuna. Kunuma pa.
Also, for I want to me, just say Iran way American war in Yanko. I want to me, just say operate increment for tractor drivers.
Unim so say munya to first mo na che say bibia bo akosro no.
Sa na be amafo class to nema bebre so kra 77 wo ko private first year ha na 2 series ene was what 3 series. Well, enema pure water kra person want to so anya no na ye den wa ha akwaje 70 pesos.
Enema bebre betumi aye mum because this year no scan ni ho ya be eduma san so na ska bi ani ho. Nti extra buy so onye bibi fan because lorry fare ni de yakofa ne ama lorry fare yakwa ha lorry fare bibia lorry fare nti onhwe no onye bibi fan ho man enya sa de be ha ye pa nema bebre ye be ye adwuma ye nya ska na car fo so car kra bi ni ho lorry fare no so kra so ha ya adwen nti abanhwe no onye bibi fan ho.
Miss Mary Trem is fairly there is too much, so at least no government in here being found. So say before no I'm quite so no at least me to make profits for Nyama Kofa so.
Oh, Anka ye can be them fuse Anka. Aban bomb de Nanka. What if we no so Nanka manage lorry fairway and fuse Anka be boa obia because o mine obia can skasem. Etinanka. Me my dream in the sense. How they on my food and from. Nanka ye maintain lorry fare say ya I think it's better than sanka be increase fare no say the be obia so ho be so no so to my dream kire no so
that it will get.
Well, the deputy ranking member of the Energy Committee, Collins Adumakomensa, emphasized that the opposition MPP does not intend to politicize the issue, but is firm in its demand for the removal of certain fuel taxes.
With the energy sector levies bill, they consolidated some levies and taxes. And if, with your permission, I'll just want to read a portion of the memorandum that accompanied the bill. It says currently, the Energy Sector Levies Act 2015 Act 899 does not make provision for the use of the proceeds of the levies to service the debts taken over by government. For this reason, government has decided to restructure and consolidate the Energy Debt Recovery Levy, the Energy Sector Recovery Levy, which is the Delta Fund, the Price Stabilization and Recovery Levy, and the Sanitation and Pollution Levy into a single levy to be known as the Energy Sector Shortfall and Debt Repayment Levy. So they've consolidated these four levies into one. I recall very vividly my good brother, Dr. Atto, when he was in opposition, talked very strongly about the sanitation levy. And then he felt that that was part of the nuisance taxes that must be removed. I think this is the time that he must show some workings, as we put it in local parlance. The sanitation levy, I think, can be suspended for now, for at least for the next 3 to 4 months, so we gauge what is happening on the international market. But as a minority, we are very clear. We were opposed to the 1 Ghana cedi addition, even from the start, because we felt that some of the reasons for the introduction of the 1 Ghana cedi was not strong enough. If you look at the memorandum, they talk about the exchange rate was doing so well, and so the 1 Ghana cedi was not going to cause or have an effect at the pump or increase the price. We argued that when you look at the price build-up, there was a component, which is the international price of crude oil, which government didn't have control over. So if you base your argument of an introduction of a new levy or tax on the basis of the strength of one aspect of the component, it becomes a problem. Because now here we are, just less than 1 year, we're having this serious issue in the Middle East. So yes, the sanitation levy, as Dr. Atto himself suggested in the past, that should be taken off. I think it is now time for us to at least suspend it for the next 3 to 4 months to gauge the market and take off the 1 Ghana cedi.
Okay.
Well, meanwhile, the CEO of Delex Finance, Joe Jackson, has warned against blanket removal of some of these fuel taxes, describing it as regressive. Here's why.
1, protect households, not prices. The mistake will be to suppress prices across the board with blanket subsidies or administrative controls. That will be expensive, it will be distorting, it will be regressive. Instead, governments should expand temporary support for the most exposed households, urban poor, low-income transport-dependent workers, and food-insecure districts.
But how do you segregate this group? That's going to be difficult, isn't it?
Well, it's going to be difficult, but we have to make an attempt. Because if we go through this, remove subsidies, administrative controls, we're going to be heading for real trouble in the medium term. Second, stabilize food logistics, not farm output. If food inflation rises, it will not because farm produce less. It was because transport, storage, and wholesale distribution has become more expensive. So the state response should be focused on moving goods fast track from farm gate to farm center. One of the things I would be looking for tomorrow will be to set up a food logistics task force, trade, agri, transport, local government, and security in one room, focused on the movement of staples. That is important. And please, we should not react with export bans, price controls, and any of those anti-market theatrics that play to the gallery.
Well, away from that, operators in the right-hand drive to left-hand drive conversion industry are facing a possible shutdown as the National Road Safety Authority declares the activities illegal and a threat to public safety. The authority says a nationwide clampdown is imminent, although specific date is not being announced by the DVLA. It insists all operators in the sector will be shut down as soon as possible. And the move follows a month-long investigation by the Technical Working Committee, which, among other recommendations, call for a ban on the importation of certain models, including Toyota Foxy. Speaking on the Super Morning Show, the Director General of the NRSA, Abraham Amaliba, warned that once the directive takes effect, anyone found engaging in such activities will be arrested and prosecuted.
So we should also stop converting it from right to left.
Now, if we should stop converting vehicles from right to left, for instance, there are a lot of other vehicles that have been converted from right to left. So what happens to those?
That's an illegality. The laws don't allow that in the first place. So it's an illegality. It is wrong. So we are going to close down those garages. And then also, if people are still engaged in that, we'll arrest them. So the conversion
please hold on.
is being done,
hold on.
but
Abraham
it is
Amaliba,
illegal,
you
and
think
we
you're
are
going to close
down on them.
Hold on. You're going to close down garages that convert vehicles from right to drive?
Yes. Why? It's a brothel. That's a brothel for cars. Don't you know that? When a garage is engaged in illegality by converting right-hand drive to left-hand drive, when it's against the law, you say, I'm at road safety, I should just look at that.
Meanwhile, speaking earlier on JoyNews Desk, head of the Vehicle Homologation Unit of the Ghana Standards Authority, Macmillian Britton, says the authority will soon revive strict enforcement of standards for used vehicles, a move expected to help address the situation.
So we are pushing to actually bring back, revive the attempt we did 4 years ago in 2022 to enforce the used vehicle standard through pre-shipment verification. Okay. So if you wanted to bring a vehicle into the country, you need to have the vehicle assessed in the country of origin against the national standard. There are multiple requirements. One of them is that vehicle model should not be a right-hand drive vehicle. It should be below 10 years of age, and the safety cage and chassis of the vehicle should not be damaged. If it passes them, then we receive that report here in Ghana, approve it before we ship the vehicle into the country. Right. This will stop them from coming even into the country in the first place. And this will be not just for right-hand drive, but any vehicle, as I've mentioned, that do not meet the quality and safety requirements of the national standard.
Well, meanwhile, my colleague Gemma Appiah has been interacting with some drivers of Toyota Foxy cars, and they have raised safety concerns about it. Listen.
And what is going to happen to this car, whether people are even going to come in to buy in the first place. Malik, thank you so much for joining me. So do you sell these cars to drivers who use it for commercial purposes, for trotro or taxis? Is that what you do?
Well, this car is not meant for trotro. It's a mini bus, maybe a mini family car.
that maybe if you have more than 3-4 people to pick as a family, you're going somewhere, maybe a nearby village, maybe from Kaswa to Accra, maybe Asawom to Accra. This is not meant for anybody to use for commercial. So we are not selling for any commercial car because it's not for commercial. So if somebody bought it and decided to use it for commercial and the road safety people will allow you to do that, that is some business. But that's not a purpose of bringing this one in here for a commercial. No, that's not what we.
But when you import them, they come, the steering wheel is on the right side. Then you move it or you convert it to the left-hand side. That is illegal.
Well, this is not the only car. This is not the only car that we converted from right-hand side to left. We have Nissan Micra, we have Nissan Toyota Hiace, which we convert them from left-hand side to from right-hand side to left-hand side. And then we don't even encounter any problem. We have Toyota Vita as well. We have Nissan cars, which they also converted from right-hand to left-hand drive. We have not encountered any problem. But you should know very well that the original is different from this one. When you get a original left-hand drive car, it's not going to compare as somebody that will change the other one from originally. So it's not going to. You are not going to get it the same as the way the original one is. So sometimes they don't change it. You can't compare to the original one. So you being the driver, if you are not being professional and you are driving it, it will cause you a lot of problems. That is what you see people causing problems. But if somebody buy your car, then you decided to use it for private, you can decide to use it to north. That one is your own measures. Maybe you have to take your time and drive it the way you're supposed to drive according to. Not that you said you have a car so you can fly all over. Meanwhile, right-hand side drive to left, it's not like an original one. So at least they have some speed limit that you have to. The stability cannot compare as a commercial car. So you can't use this one as a commercial. You understand?
Now that they are raising concerns about its safety, are you concerned that you may not be able to sell this car? People will not come and buy this car? Are you concerned?
I don't see it that way, because if they are saying it for a purpose, that they are not using, it's not meant for commercial. But people that purposely we brought it to sell for anybody as maybe a car as a private. I didn't see this one as a commercial car. What people are saying that people use it for commercial. Maybe they said you shouldn't use it for commercial. They can ban from that, not ban this car from bringing it into Ghana. Then are they going to ban all right-hand drive car into Ghana? No, because we have Nissan Micra, we have a lot of cars that are mentioned. Nobody said they are banning. If they are banning from right-hand drive car in general, that one I understand. But this particular car, I don't think this is the problem. But where the problem is, they should solve it from there.
Where do you think the problem is?
The problem. No, the car is not as.
Well, that's my colleague Gemma Appiah there, just engaging some drivers. And so we're looking forward to how that would pan out. You're still watching The Pulse, and next we'll turn our attention on an issue that is raging in the trade sector. Tensions are escalating really between a coalition of trade associations and the government over the implementation of a trade solution system known as Publican AI, introduced to enhance revenue mobilization at Ghana's ports. The coalition, comprising of freight forwarders, importers, exporters, and goods as well, are demanding the immediate suspension of the system, citing disruption to port operations and mounting delays in cargo clearance. They argue the platform is unpredictable and lacks transparency and is leaving goods stranded at the ports. A meeting with the Ghana Revenue Authority, we know last week, ended inconclusively, deepening the standoff between the traders and government. Well, this afternoon on The Pulse, we're seeking answers from government on what informed the rollout of the system, why industry players indeed insist that it is not fit for purpose, and what challenges are ahead. Joining me in the studio now is Victor Akufo-Addo. He's head of revenue assurance at the Ministry of Finance. We've been looking for him. We're glad to have him in the studio. Also in the studio is the ranking member on the Trade and Industry as well as Tourism Committee in Parliament, Michael Otri-Beafi. Also in the studio is another Michael Otri. He is actually the Systems Administrator at the Customs Division at the Ghana Revenue Authority. He joins me in the studio as well. Welcome, gentlemen, in the studio. On Zoom, I have Michael Obori. He is a freight forwarder I also have the chairman of the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana, Reverend John Owuni, joining the conversation via Zoom. And I'll come to my gentleman in the studio because the whole show is about you. We're seeking answers, but let me start with some of our guests on Zoom, just to hear from them first. We're going to hear their concern because they've maintained that the system is defective, and so we would be engaging them shortly. If I have them on Zoom, we'll start with them just to lay bare their concerns. I know that I have Awuni on Zoom. Mr. Awuni, I appreciate your time here on The Pulse. You've been at this for weeks now. You contend that the system at the port is defective, but we want to understand why you hold this belief.
Thank you so much. Let me begin by saying that the business community is always open to any system that will facilitate trade, any system that will make cost of running business more cheaper and easier. So we are not against anything that will enhance this stuff. So initially, when they talked about the implementation of the AI, we said we were very skeptical, but we said, well, let them go ahead. And from day one, this AI thing appeared to have superseded any other system at the port. The country, the nerve center of this country has now been handed over to an artificial intelligence, whether it's a man or it's a woman, whatever information they put in there, our entire system has been handed to a foreign system to now begin to handle our imports and then determine what values people can pay when they bring in their goods. And over the period from day one, we have had complaints from traders, businesses, and they are lamenting that this whole system is a disruptive system. It creates a whole lot of unpredictability. In terms of importation, there's nobody in the country, in the business area that clearly can predict how much duties he will pay or she will pay when she brings in the goods, how much time, whether if they even reject the appeal system where you will go and appeal, how you appeal, and whether your appeal will be accepted or not accepted. You cannot determine and even estimate how much demurrage you will pay because there's no time limit. You can't, everything is just gone kind of confused. And I'm so very much disappointed that a government that has so much goodwill and also talk about the fact that when they come in, they will make business and trading, importation much more easier. That His Excellency the President talked about the fact that there are so many layers at the port, which is hampering the smooth operation of businesses in the country. When they come in, they will remove. And they have now only come in and they have brought in an artificial person to begin to determine. And then so they render these custom officers, they're very paralyzed. They say that if a custom officer works out a duty and the AI comes out with a duty that is higher than that of the custom officer, the AI one should be accepted. And I would say that AI is as good as whatever information and the quality of the person that is sitting there and the level of information that you put into the AI, that's what the AI will give. If you put in a particular FOB and say that, is this search the best price for this FOB, that it will go and pick up. Wherever it will pick, whether it is American prices, it is Asian prices, wherever, it will bring it to you. And so the AI does not take cognizance of the fact that people have special arrangement with their suppliers. It doesn't take cognizance of any negotiations that you have. For instance, you go to Agyeman-Rawlings and buy tomato, they give you tomato, you negotiate well, they give you Olonka 50 cedis. I go there with my Land Cruiser, they give me 100 cedis. When AI is valuing how much tax we will pay, they will tell you that you should also pay the 100 cedis because tomato is 100 cedis in the market. Irrespective of what your negotiation, whatever arrangement you have with the supplier, AI doesn't recognize that. Then when you appeal that the value that AI has given you, the 100 cedis they are asking to pay for that tomato is not acceptable, they will tell you that show how much you gave to the trader. And assuming you took those goods on credit and you're supposed to pay back 1 month time, how do you prove it? So it is very frustrating. And let the Minister of Finance recognize that, yes, the government has a goodwill among businesses. They have stabilized the currency and they have done a lot that people begin to, businesses are kind of very happy, more especially the interest rate is dropping, stability in the currency. But they cannot put in a system that is so artificial rendering human efforts useless, and then begin to say that businesses are criminals, they have been over-invoicing, and yet over-invoiced. So this AI is now to come and ensure that people don't under-invoice. There has not been any system, anybody has come out with a research to prove that they have done the research, and 80% of businesses, 50% of businesses, 40% of businesses are under-invoicing their goods. Indeed, I have a scenario, which was just a scenario just this week, where gold card bearing companies who are deemed to be very compliant for years, goods have been flagged, and they have paid demurrages for some weeks, only now to come out and say that, well, the AI didn't recognize their gold card, so they are sorry. They should go and clear their goods. Will the government refund the demurrage that they paid to those businesses paid?
Okay, Mr. John Awuni, I see how passionate you are about it, but I also have with me Michael Obri. He's also a freight forwarder. And so I want to understand your concern. Are there delays substantively at the ports? Mr. Michael, you have to unmute for me to hear you clearly. I want to find out what challenges you're facing with this particular Publican AI system. Are you facing any delays at the port? Why exactly are you kicking against it?
Thank you very much. And to my colleague, Reverend John Awuni. The problems that are at the back of this are now beyond the delays and the appeal process. We've already mentioned that post introduction of AI, we're seeing values that are given to importers quadruple, sometimes in triple folds, among others. And that the real problem with this AI, the real operational problem with the AI that has been deployed in the manner that it has been deployed, is that it takes away the ability to predict from the trader. So, and I've always made this analogy. If I go somewhere, if I go to Brazil to go and bring goods into Ghana, I should go to foretell what my duty would be, so that as a business person, I can plan ahead. When I come to Ghana, I would be able to clear it at the port of entry and move on to do my business. Unfortunately, with the introduction of this AI, you are unable to do such planning, because for goods that you would pay maybe 500,000, $1 million to clear previously, you'll be paying 2.5 million among others. It is so erratic and arbitrary that you cannot check. That's one part of it. The second part of it, and I mentioned when I started, was the issue of appeals. So previously, once there's a dispute between yourself and the customs officers because of the duties that the values that they've given you, you have the opportunity to go through the appeal system within the customs own system, just at the port of entry that you are. Now the appeals have been situated at the Ministry of Finance with some Publican AI Publican I call it desk. They say that there's a committee that would sit a week. Now, for the business that we do and for our port, every day counts. So if your goods delay, let's say maybe for the next 7 days, you will be paying demurrage. And so if a committee is going to sit just twice a week, what is going to happen is that there are a lot more people who are likely to be affected by time and would have to pay demurrage rent, among others. And so the entire deployment of this system, given in our view, the hasty manner in which it was done, the lack of stakeholder consultation, the lack of transparency in the implementation itself, calls for questioning. And it's really causing a lot of disruption at the ports. It's causing a lot of disruption at the ports. And so that fundamentally is our problem. And we've also raised concerns that if you look at the deployment of the Publican AI and you situate it within the WTO, WCO regulations, and even the Act 891, which is the act that governs the operations of customs here in Ghana, it is in violation of the provisions in there, because the provisions clearly tell you that you only give customs value for the cost of customs value, you must rely on transactional values. Now, the AI doesn't rely on the transactional values that you present. It has, for some reason, gone on a fishing expedition, have some values online. They say, so this is the floor and the ceiling of the values that we have. If you don't fall in between the floor and the ceiling, then it means your value is not accurate. So I don't think that's the way to do business. Okay. And that's the way to treat business, the business community.
So stay with me, gentlemen. And thankfully, I have the men in the studio to do the answering of all your questions. And I'd like to start with Michael Otri, because you are in charge of systems administration at GRA, and so I want to break it down. Some of the key concerns that have come up, and I've noted some of them down just to get specific answers for the freight forwarders. What gap is the AI system seeking to breach with its introduction?
Thank you very much. First of all, you need to understand that the Publican AI is just a tool for us to complete our works. It is not a new system. Our system still stands as it is. And so it is a tool we are using for our classification and evaluation, assisting us together with other tools. And so we have not changed anything there.
So this is just, it's not a new tool that you're introducing, it's an existing tool?
We have existing tools, and this is just an electronic tool that we are adding up to our existing tools that we are using. That's all. But
what problem was it seeking to cure that your existing tools could not cure? The reason why you decided to introduce this?
Our existing tools are curing a lot of them. However, we are adding up to it because we want to assist our officers working on valuation and classification to ensure that they are we're reducing the time for which they go online to check on transactional documents to be able to ascertain that these are verifiable ones, these are correct ones. But because hitherto we were going, officers were just going onto the web checking normally. But this Publican AI tool that we are having assists us to be able to check these things in real time. The moment you submit your declarations on the ICOM system, before it even gets to the officer to do any analysis, it has already done that thing for you. And so you compare with your existing tools and other information the trader has presented, then you're able to make a decision.
Well, the importers we just spoke to, I'll come to you because I know you also want to add to that, but I'll come to you. The importers we spoke to, they claim that the current AI system is giving values that exceed the previous invoicing system. And so I'm concerned about the valuation method. What informs the AI? Is it that the system in place would give you the figures to work with, or do you already key in the figures with which the AI tools just work with?
Currently, even if you look at what the AI is giving us, we are having just about 25% of all transactions that are coming to customs that the AI is even querying. 75% is what our own information that we are having and their transactional values are being used. It is just 25% of it, of the entire transactions that are coming in. That's the AI queries for their various values and other anomalies that are appearing on it.
I see. And let me come to you just to get the understanding of the concerns that the traders have raised about the finances. I read online that this system is saving us money. But how true is that?
Okay, so thank you very much for your question. And I would like to backtrack a little bit before I respond to you.
Okay.
So Customs has a lot of tools. They have the reference price, they have the transaction database that they keep, and one of them that we've added on is the Publican AI system. Now, there are rules in passing a declaration to Customs. You're supposed to provide your bill of lading, your packing lists, your other export documents, and then your proof of payment for the goods, including other regulatory approvals that you need. Now, for those who comply perfectly with these systems, they will not have any problem with the AI system because this would be a true reflection of what you have transacted with the supplier. Now, the AI only comes in if there is a doubt in the data you have provided to the Commissioner General for assessment purposes. Then the Commissioner General by law is allowed to look for alternative means of assessing the true reflection of the transaction you have engaged in. And that's why my colleague said 75% of declarations that were sent through the Publican system were cleared, meaning that their price falls within the range that Publican feels it's okay. And those ones were cleared. Now let's talk about the 25%. That 25% means that these are people that the information they have provided to customs for assessment may have issues. The issue may be with the country of origin, the issue may be with the classification, the issue may be with the valuation, or in some even cases, the issue is just with the efficacy of the product itself. So this is what Publican is attending to. Now, when you look at this 25%, these are the people who are then requested to appeal to customs. And I heard him say that there is secretariat at the Ministry of Finance and it's taking away customs work. No, it is not. This came out because the initial communication that went on to customs was misunderstood. The understanding then was if there is supposed to be a Publican system, then me as an officer, I'm not going to do any activity on it until I get clarity on what I need to do. And as at now, that clarity has been given and customs is fully operational and operating their activities. So there is no change in how customs are supposed to do their work. There is no change in the law. There is no change in the operational procedure. It is just that we have added an additional tool where an officer had to sift through tons of data to understand a declaration when he has a problem. So what people always forget is that if you are a genuine importer or you are an authorized economic operator and your data synchronizes, you won't have any problem. You won't even notice Publican is around. It is only when Commissioner General has a problem with your declaration, then the AI system will come to support the Commissioner General in taking a decision on the cargo that you have brought in. Now I come back to the savings that we have made. So for me as a policy person, I would look at the intangible savings that we have. One is the ability of the officer to be able to quickly assess the cargo that you have submitted to them. Either the officer has to go onto the web, go and check. They will call you the importer, bring us images of the cargo you are importing, send us this information, send us that information. Now all that is analyzed by the Publican system to assist the officer in doing his work. The other savings that we also have made is when we started the pilot, the initial proof of concept, the Publican we're giving access to the Publican to run the system on some specific importers. In just analyzing 5 importers, we were able to secure a liability of over 25 million Ghana cedis, just from 5 importers. These were importers who had passed declarations, it had gone through the customs system, and those people had cleared their goods and gone. With the AI, it was able to flag them to let us know that there is a problem with the declarations they passed. The values had a problem. When we went into their banking information and checked, we realized that they had underdeclared when it came to customs. But when they went to the bank to transfer funds, they were using the correct invoices to transfer these funds. An officer may not even know which bank you are saving in, but with the Publican AI, is able to run through all the banking information, which we capture under the import declaration form, and is able to tell us that this declaration has a problem, so there should be a proper look into the system. So these are some of the savings that we have made so far.
One of the concerns they've raised, the importers, is that we have cases of inflated pricing. And so how do you check that? Because that's their major concern. Some of them say that the price they would usually pay for some of the goods they import has skyrocketed.
Okay. So thank you very much, and I'm happy with this. So let me give you a typical example. Somebody who used to import chicken back and chicken drums, was declaring to custom that a kilo of chicken was costing them 20 cents. And over the years from 2020, they've been importing it, and from 2020 to 2026, the price has never changed. It's 20 cents. Publican flagged that importer, and we went to the commercial bank they were transferring monies through, and we asked the commercial bank to give us all the invoices they have submitted for the transfers. In the transfers, they were declaring a kilo of chicken to cost $1. So just imagine this importer now being hit with the reality that he is now being forced to pay for the real value of the goods that they have imported. We'll now tell you that they have more than 5 times increased the value of his goods. But to be honest, his competitors are going to be happy because now he is going to pay the same duty on the value of goods that they have also been paying. So Publican is trying to provide equity in the system where you cannot find your own ways and means and provide values that you want and pay the duty that you want and compete with other people who are genuine and honest and doing their businesses.
And one of the goals, really, I'll come to you, and I'll also come to Michael Otribefi, because this has come before Parliament. The committee is a member of, and I want to get his thoughts on this shortly. I'll come back to him, but I want to come to you because we're looking at the systems and how effective it is. One of the concerns being raised by the freight forwarders is that this system ought to have ensured that the whole process is smoother and faster, but now there are bottlenecks and there are delays. How do you explain that?
The delays are coming to those who are challenging the assessment that are coming to them. For the tool that we are using, basically it is not even interfering with the everyday flow of the system. It is at the very beginning when you submit your information into the ICOM system. It splits and goes there. So before the ICOM system validates the document and submits to customs officers to work on, the AI tool has also done its assessment. And so when the officer sits behind his front end and decides to work on your consignment or on your document, he has all the information to his disposal at the same time, in real time. And so it has not actually affected any flow of work. The delays they may be bringing up based on coming from the appeals that you are saying. Initially, as my colleague here said, it was a misconception that came in, and so it halted or it slowed down the appeal system for which the officers at the Technical Bureau were using or were processing. So when the clarity came, they are doing the appeal system as they are, and today they are all clearing the appeals that are coming up.
And let me come to Michael Otribefi, because you're in Parliament, and we know that the freight forwarders, some of them have submitted a petition to your committee. But what concern do you have as the minority about this system and its operation?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I think the young, handsome men here are creating a false impression that the public, as if the Publican AI is the best tool that doesn't have any issue, that hasn't gone through any challenges. That's exactly what you are trying to do here. And that's what I'm getting. And I think
why do you feel that way?
So then I'm coming to that.
Okay.
I think that is not too fair, my opinion, though I stand to be corrected. But you see, this is nobody's against government trying to generate more revenue for the state. In essence, government know how to get more money to be able to do a lot of projects and do a lot of development for the country. So without money, which must be generated domestically through the actions of the Ghana Revenue Authority, we may not be able to get enough to be able to undertake projects or infrastructure development. But what we have to understand is that this is a serious, policy that was not well, that's my opinion. When we didn't study it well, we didn't have a lot of stakeholder engagement. People didn't understand the policy so well. People didn't embrace it willingly to be able to move with it, because that created a problem for them. But for me, as a member of parliament, like a lawmaker and somebody who is also a trade watcher, clearly you can see that this policy is inconsistent. It's not consistent with the WTO. That is very important because they have given us the best in class to operate with. I see, because if you are a member country of the WTO, you are supposed to work within a certain guideline. What is more, Ghana has even legitimized that arrangement of WTO through the 2015 Act 891, Section 67 and 68 specifically clearly states how we should go about valuation of goods to be able to now determine how much taxes people must pay. And so it is not for GRA to just rise up and come out with the policy that is inconsistent with the law of Ghana that was passed by Parliament of Ghana. Is it like that? And you want us to understand. That's why I'm telling you. This policy is a clear policy that people have strategically planned to create financial loss to the country or siphon money from the country. That's how.
And I'll come to you because you're from the finance ministry to respond to that. Is that the case? Because you claim
I'm telling
that you're saving money.
Now let me tell you. So have you ever seen, which publication in this world, have you ever seen any publication where we have been able to generate money? Anytime, I've been a member of the board of GRA before. Anytime we're able to meet our targets, we state specifically how much you have made. We don't just GRA maybe made, let's say 30 billion, 3 billion. Dude, that's what we say. You will not hear or see anyone saying we have been able to rake in, this policy has raking millions of. Immediately you hear that, it means that there's something wrong somewhere. I am telling you on authority that it has not saved us any money. It has created a lot of mess at the port. And that's the fact. Everyone knows. I mean, there's so much backlog. The GRA staff even know. There's so much backlog. There's so much traffic. And what is even creating more problems is the fact that if you want to appeal, you have to drive from Tema to Kanda to appeal. And that will create more problems. A lot of goods are going to demurrage. And if importers are not able to pay their taxes, and so the goods go into demurrage, would they be able to pay if you go into? They have to now pay penalties, and they cannot pay.
GRA tells us that it's not the case that there are delays based on the system, but because some of them are contesting the figures.
It is not about what they say. It's about the reality. You are talking about scanning through the system and coming out to fictitious median figures.
Fictitious figures. You need to respond to this. The concerns that the figures are fictitious, the reason why the traders are contesting them.
So I'm talking about, let me give you an example. A company that have been doing business may be paying duty on 37 containers past years. Let's say the person have been paying, let's say 10 cedis. And because of this AI thing that came, Publican AI, the person is now paying, if he's paying 10, the person is now paying 60 cedis. And you tell me that this is helping. It's not helping. It's not facilitating trade. It is rather creating unnecessary tension in the system. And that's how come, for the first time in the history of Ghana, you've seen all the trade associations and even employers association, they are even fighting this policy. It means that the policy is not a policy that must be allowed to thrive or suffice. Immediately, government must suspend the policy because, you see, you know the most important thing in the whole thing? The deputy minister said to us that through their company they are doing this business at no cost to the state. What kind of behavior is that? Are we small boys? They are going to take money. They are taking 13%, between 13 to 15%. Whatever money
from the state,
whatever money they generate, they are taking. So if within the year they are generating 14 billion, look at how much they are taking. It's not small, and these are facts. You know, what I'm telling you is what you should believe, because that's the fact. They know that what I'm telling you. Do you know?
Yes. Let me get responses
they cannot
from them.
say it, but they know.
Let me get responses from them. I'll start with GRA and then come to the finance ministry. He has raised key concerns about this system. I would like to get your response to that.
Yes, he's raised an issue of how do I call it? Presenting falsehood to it. If we are presenting falsehood, how come that the people are now paying more? That is one. How come that if you appeal, we tell you to produce your verified documents you claim are the genuine transactional documents? When you bring it and we look at even your remittances on these things, vary. Why would you present an invoice to customs of $1 per a package or a kilo of frozen product, and then when you go to the bank to remit to the supplier, you send an invoice of 20? I mean, you submit 20p to us as how much you pay for a kilo of frozen product, and then you go to your bankers to remit funds, and you submit $100 for a kilo. How come that you're doing that? It means that what you present to us is completely false. In the same act that is saying, it says transactional value or price payable. And so you're supposed to give us the correct information, correct document. If you give us a false document, then it means you're telling us that your whole transaction is false. And once the system goes through, there are a lot of traders in the system that are doing genuine business, that are producing correct documents, and they are sailing through. Nobody's making noise about it. And then when you think even we have assessed your transactional documents wrongly, we ask you to submit your documents to us for us to look at it. And when we look at it and it is genuine, we allow you to go through. And for that matter, we are not creating falsehood in the system. Two, even when you think there are delays, Customs has various procedures in terms of clearance of goods. You have pre-arrival submission of documents. And so you can submit them the moment you have your documents to Customs for assessment. And so you can also even predict how much you can pay or you're going to pay. And you have challenges with it. You are able to even appeal before even your consignment arrives. And for that matter, you avoid demurrage.
My sister, is it not that all those people you interviewed, what did they say? They were talking about the unpredictability of the whole policy. Now he's talking about the fact that you can predict what you...
Yes.
But the people are talking about unpredictability.
But I know your concerns are valid, but let him make the point because he's addressing their concern. Let him make the point. But let me come to you, Victor, because we want to look at the system. The concern really is why fix a problem that doesn't exist? And so why are we introducing this? Especially because we've heard from the minority. They allege that this firm was incorporated in Cyprus in December 2024. They lack even the credibility to run such a system. We're putting our cyberspace at risk. How do you respond to those concerns?
Okay, thank you very much. So I would try to leave politics to Honorable.
I'm not a politician.
And be a technical officer and respond accordingly.
I'm a businessman.
My interest is the system working?
Is it?
Yes. So let me give you an example. There is this company, I won't mention the company's name, but they imported lubricating oil. And to Customs, they told Customs a unit has been costing them 60 cents over the years, and they've been doing it. Now, Publican flagged, and we went deeper to look into the declaration. They have been buying it for $2.21. And this is what they've been doing, and this cargo has been cleared and gone. And to confirm what we are saying, the importer was called, questioned, and they paid. The money has been collected by Customs. So these are the issues that as a revenue assurance head, I am faced every day. We did an audit on people who were under declaring, and it would surprise you, over $20 billion had left the country in claim of goods, but when it came to Customs, it was less than about 8 billion. I have to confirm the figure. So all these are persistent information that we always see. And this is why it necessitated us to get something to work. Whether Publican is the best system, I want to be able to say because I've not tried every system. But at least as an officer, when I'm given a system, all I need to know is, will it be able to solve the problem? Is it fit for purpose? And that is what I look at. And looking at what Publican is doing right now, I have every cause to believe that Publican is doing a very good job. There are importers who will come making noise. Some of them will even go to the minister, claiming that Publican is worrying them. You sit them down. Yesterday, there was this Indian importer who came to me, and I showed him his own data, comparing his bank information with the declaration he has made. He just got up and told me he has cancelled his appeal. He's going to pay. So from our side, what we are seeing is totally different from what Honorable is claiming outside.
So people are evading taxes.
So that is what we see there. And we always say our doors are always open. My office is there. We have a full team who are there. If you need any support, we will come and help you with it. There are also importers who, and as I said, it's an AI. It can make mistakes. The AI gave a value. When the officer was inputting the information to the system, it's a pair of shoes. The officer then doubled it, thinking that the price was for one. So the AI then gave the importer a double pair. This came up to the committee, and quickly we called the officer instantly to reverse the decision for the importer to pay and go. So yes, we would not come here and say that this system is foolproof, is holy. We have challenges. We are having issues where 4 items would come in, all 3 will be accepted and 1 will be hiked up. And these are systemic bugs. And as soon as you realize it, you quickly alert the officer, accept his value and let him go.
And those are the challenges that the freight forwarders and importers are raising concerns about. The unpredictability of the system and the faults that may occur, which they are not probably privy to. And that's the concern which you have just admitted to. So how do you plan to deal with it?
So please hold on. Now, when you say unpredictability, the Customs Act says that provide all your necessary documents for assessment. So if you come to customs and you provide your genuine documents, you have no issue worrying about an AI or a transaction. And just let you know, the publican is just one of the tools. So there are even instances where publican will clear you, but customs, based on the experience and the information they have, will know that, no, this is not the true reflection. And that they know you bought it at a certain price, and they will even up it for you. So it is not only publican which is providing values for customs to do the assessment. There is the transaction price database, there is the reference price database that they use. And an officer can also do his own research with additional information to justify why he's giving you a price. So the predictability is always already there. If you are an honest importer, you don't have to worry about publican. It is when you try to beat the system, then per the laws and the approvals given by Parliament itself to Commissioner General, you are having I wanted to read the law where there is a saying that we are trying to breach the law.
Yes, WTO.
Yes.
One of the freight forwarders made mention of that and how this is in contravention of that law.
So Act 891, which is the Customs Act, Section 67, and I read customs valuation. For customs purposes, customs value is the transaction value, that is 1, or the price actually paid, that is 2, or payable for goods imported into this country, that is 3. And there's a 4th one people always overlook, except in cases where provision is specifically made for another method of determining customs value. So it is when Commissioner has a reason to doubt your information, then Commissioner General can make a provision specifically to determine your customs value. And one of those provisions is the transaction database that Commissioner General has instituted. And to let you know, you see, the reason why we wanted a digital system is we are currently using a transaction database that is as modern as 2023, and we are applying it. Now, publican gives us real-time values. So for me, I would be happier Ghanaians would really look at it. Yes, there may be small challenges we need to address.
What are the challenges? I want to go into the challenges that you are facing and how you plan to address them.
So the first challenge we had was the miscommunication. And that is what brought about. We had actually been running publican since February. And people didn't know about it.
This year?
Yes. We've been running it since, and people didn't know about it. It was when the miscommunication went out and officers misunderstood it to mean that they are not allowed to work on appeals. Then we had the compiling effect, and that is what is making all this issue come up. Apart from that, anybody who wants to challenge the publican system, our doors are open to him. He can always come and we'll provide it. And Honorable made a point that somebody has to drive all the way to Kanda. No, the customs processes are what are operational. Nobody has to move anywhere to Ministry of Finance or to any other place to seek any redress. The custom processes are what we use. All the information and everything is captured on the ICOM system. You cannot, even if you come to Ministry of Finance and I decide I want to, accept your value, an officer has to go onto the ICOMs to upload it. If not, you won't be able to clear your goods. So we are not having any quasi system that is operational. Everything is being done on the ICOMs. If you don't run through the ICOMs, you cannot take your cargo from the port.
So I'll come back to you because a lot of questions about stakeholder engagement have come up. What kind of consultation did you do even before implementing this in February? That has come up. Another concern that has come up is the concern that looking at the challenges you have highlighted, which you've just highlighted one, I'll let you highlight the other challenges. How do you plan to deal with it effectively so that we don't have challenges from importers? Let me come to Michael Ochibefi because you are pushing against this. You are a businessman yourself. Looking at the explanation being given by GRA and the Finance Ministry, are you satisfied?
Not. So the point he's making to me, that doesn't hold water. He knows, and I believe that everybody in this country, there are other methods, as he said, but I can tell you also on authority that GRA now is so fixated in this Publican AI system. That's how come everybody's talking about it. Everybody who has something to do with the port now is somehow, one way or the other, being hit with this Publican AI stuff. And that is creating unnecessary problems at the port. And another point that I wanted to make, you see, the law is a law. The law is so clear about what we said.
Which he has quoted. You're not satisfied with that?
No, because it is the law. So that part, the 4th point you raised, it is only part of the law, but that must be enforced somehow. But you see, it doesn't give some like powers to the Commissioner General just to act arbitrary. No, you cannot just say that because the law says this, I'll just do as I want. No, it's not done like that. So you have to make sure that.
But if they have legal backing, which is a concern you raised,
so the point is that
breach of
there are a lot of WTO. When you read that section of WTO, there are a lot of ways. Go to other jurisdictions. We have spoken to other countries. If they have issues, people have what we call custom to custom arrangement. That you can also talk to other customs, officers or in other jurisdictions where you think the person bought the goods. So this arrangement is there for you to, and that's the best in class because it is even implemented by the best democracies and well-to-do economies in the world. Not a country like Ghana. We cannot pretend to be bringing something that has not happened before. And one of the things that are also shocking is the fact that you told us that we started this in February. Yeah. Clearly it means that there's something wrong somewhere. After the second stakeholder meeting, they told them they were going to pilot the project. Not until the Commissioner General received a letter from the Minister of Finance on the 8th of 6th of March, a letter dated 5th March, sent to the Commissioner General, directing him to implement a full implementation of the policy effective 12th March. So what we know is that the policy started out on the 12th of March. That's what we know. So if we started even before that, it means that you didn't even prompt the people, your stakeholders. That is the problem. We are talking about the stakeholders being part of what you do. Do you think that we are against government generating more money? Nobody's against it. We want government to get more money. As a matter of fact, I believe that we should be able to generate more money internally for government to be able to undertake a lot of development.
So what are you against, really?
I am against, one, the corruption aspect in the deal. Okay. Something is wrong somewhere. Can't you see? No, I'm not that please. There's something wrong. You decided to choose an inexperienced contractor. Now, see, the one that you give the person, the contract, is somebody or a company that has no experience in that area. The company they even incorporated in Ghana has not even worked before. That has not even worked. So this is the first major contract they are undertaking. You see, there's nothing wrong with it. You even came to lie to Ghana. The deputy minister, he boldly lied that through there, they are doing this business at no cost to the state. That's not true.
Well, because we don't have the deputy minister in the studio, we cannot say he lied. We can say allegedly. So that when we get him, he can then respond to it.
These things that I'm telling you are things that they don't want us to know. I know about it. Okay. See, I filed an RTI. We're expecting them to give us the response.
You filed an RTI?
Yes. Okay. And I'll tell you that now, PPA, I've done a lot of work on this thing I'm telling you. Tell me, don't you know that the government is taking between 85 to 87%? You know?
Of what?
Of whatever the money they generate. You don't know.
So
can he respond to the concern?
Through there is taking between 13 to 15%.
Okay, let me get a direct response. Let me get a direct response from the Finance Ministry. He has raised a lot of concerns. Let's take them one by one so that we can help our audience watching and following the conversation. What went into the selection of this company to do the job?
Okay, so please let me start with the stakeholder engagement. I think we need to correct that.
Okay.
Our official stakeholder engagement was on the 14th of January 2026.
14th of January.
Yes,
I know that.
We held the stakeholder meeting for 3 consecutive days with all the stakeholders, the importers, the freight forwarders, the port operators, the media houses.
And were they aware that you are rolling out in February?
We showed them even the system itself. And the initial design was that Publican was supposed to come on the 1st of February. But certain concerns they raised, the Honorable Deputy Minister and the Honorable Minister and the Commissioner General agreed that we should look into it to address those issues. One of them was for vehicle valuation. So currently, vehicle valuation is not even operational on the Publican system. So we have had a lot of engagements. There were even instances where some association held annual general meetings and they wanted us to provide some information for them. And we had to drive all the way to Akufo-Addo to provide the information for them. So anybody who wants to know about the Publican system, we are ever and always ready to provide the information.
Our stakeholders are aware that you are rolling out in February?
Yes.
They were aware?
At the meeting, we even told them there that we...
And they approved of it?
So... So the customs, I always give this analogy. I'm a carpenter and I need to fix a door. Okay. I don't need the owner's approval to bring a hammer because I know that is the tool I need to come and work. It is the executive that decided that we have to even engage the stakeholders. You see, what Publican does has nothing to do with what a declaration comes to, what declaration is processed. It is for the officer to now have additional information in assessing you. And as I said, if you're an honest importer, then the officer doesn't even need the additional information. So it is for those who are trying to circumvent the system that go into this.
So stakeholders approved the rollout in February?
We met all of them. Some gave their reservations. I wouldn't be able to say officially here that they all agreed.
Another concern that has come up is the state claim that this is coming to us at no extra cost. We're hearing from the minority allege that they're getting 13% of all revenue rating. Is it true?
No, it's not true.
Okay.
So let me explain. Every tax revenue is paid into the consolidated account. And Honorable knows that you have to have appropriation before you can take it. So it can never be possible that a company will go and take 30% of whatever is collected.
I didn't say 30%.
Or 13%. Yes, it is not possible that you can go and take 13% of what is collected. What is collected by customs and is paid directly into the consolidated account. The money goes into the commercial bank and is deducted by Bank of Ghana. So it cannot be possible.
So we don't pay for the service they are rendering to the country. Mr. Michael, please let him make the point. Mr. Michael, please let him make the point.
What is saying is not true.
Okay, let him make the point. I'll give you the opportunity to speak. Let me make the point. Mr. Michael, please give me a minute. I'll come back to you to get your response. But Victor, I want you to be clear with us.
Yes.
There is no free lunch. So who is paying for this service?
Okay, so what the Honorable Minister said is that no importer or government itself is not going to find any extra money to pay for the service. And if you are aware, any tax you want to bring, you have to go to Parliament. If you want to charge a fee, it has to get approval through the Fees and Charges Act. So that is what the Honorable Minister meant by saying we are not going to introduce any new fee or tax to pay for this service. What I know is that there is a processing fee, an inspection fee that is charged by customs. And that is what it uses to pay for all the service providers who are providing services for customs at the port.
So it's an existing fee?
Yes.
So we are paying them from an existing fee?
Yes, that is the information I know.
I want Jerry to confirm this for me. Is that the case?
This is a policy issue. And for that matter, Jerry cannot confirm this. However, as he stated earlier, we have an inspection fee which is paid on all transactions. And so that one is managed by finance. Yeah. And so I cannot sit here as...
And confirm. I want you to confirm if indeed that fee exists and it's already...
Exists, yeah.
So that's all I need the confirmation about. So I'll come back to you in the studio and I'll come to Mr. Michael because I know he has other salient points to make. But let me go on Zoom because the importers and the freight forwarders, they're with us and they're listening to the conversation. And so let me bring in Mr. Obri at this point in time. You raised concerns about the legality of this new system introduced at the ports. We're just hearing from the Finance Ministry that they have legal backing to do the same. What's your response?
Thank you very much. I think there's been a disingenuous framing of the law because the same law that you read, Section 67 of the Act, that provision where he says unless so I do not have the act with me, but the provision where he read that suggests that he used to suggest that the customs or Commissioner General can determine some other means for valuation. It's not what the law suggests. In fact, if you come down to 68, now 67, you read 67, those other methods, so transactional value, the price of the goods, in fact, when you read 67 beneath it, it gives you the explanation of what the price of the goods are. So it says the price of the goods will include, and then it tells you. Now go to 68. 68 tells you that if we are unable to use the transactional values to make the determination of custom values, you must proceed in a certain order. And it tells you in which you must proceed to determine the values. During the full operation, so just as if
Mr. Michael, you have to position rightly. We seem to be losing you intermittently. I'd like you to try and position rightly, and let's try again. You were just making that point, and I want you to finalize on it, but I'm losing you intermittently. So let's try again.
Hear me now.
Unfortunately, still same. So try and find a different position. I'll come back to you. But I have John Awuni also joining the conversation. And so, John, you raised concerns about the bottlenecks at the ports as a result of the implementation of this system and over-evaluation in terms of goods and services. We've heard from the Finance Ministry and the GRA address those concerns. You're satisfied, are you not?
No. I think that they are painting a completely different picture. Now they talked about they tried the system and then it was the system is querying about 25% of importers. I would like to know the sample size of that research that they did, and the system only ended up querying 25%. And then also the 25% queried. What was the outcome? Was AI right or was AI wrong? Having said that, I also want to say that I received goods in just on the 15th of March. The vessel arrived, and from the 15th of March, it is only yesterday I got the goods to my place. The Chinese people who sent the goods kept on saying that your port has drastically reduced in efficiency. There's a problem at the port. They hear that they have introduced a new system, and then the thing is not working, and so there's a reduction in the process, and then the
GRA claims that the only reason why you're facing challenges is because you're contesting the pricing that and the valuation being given by the Publican AI.
It is not about contesting. This is not about contesting. This is a vessel that has arrived. It has not even reached whatever yet, and the whole process is completely slow. We have an economic authorized operator whose goods and BOEs were rejected, not recognized by the AI. The person keeps on paying a demurrage. Only yesterday or 2 days ago, they end up passing the thing out. Now, if you pass the thing out, the demurrage, who covers for the demurrage? Would the government refund the demurrage the customer paid? Then we talk about the fact that it reduces time. It doesn't reduce time. It is not only the people that did queried that the whole thing that they released to the delays. The whole system itself renders the customs officer paralyzed. It says that what the customs officer comes out with a particular price, a particular value, and the AI also comes out with a value that is higher than customs officer, the AI value must be accepted. In the event that the customs officer and the AI value are completely even different, they may have to find an average. So customs officer may have to go into the arena of mathematics. How good they are in mathematics, we don't know. Now to work out and find averages and media so that to be able to now come out with values for people to be able to pay. The whole thing has nothing to do with the fact that the queried is the queried people that are complaining. We are giving them a system feedback, and we are saying that that system is disruptive. The AI system even appears to be confused because at the end of the day, it sometimes recognizes some goods as different products, a boat as a goat, and other stuff, and give values. And
so do you want a suspension and for us to go back on the table to dialogue, or you want it to be scrapped completely?
In my opinion, you cannot hand over such a nerve center of the country to an artificial intelligence. Okay. A system that has worked, other systems that have worked so successfully. You cannot come in with something like that. So I wanted to come in and tell me the 25%, my brothers in the office there, respectfully, let them tell the 25% sample. What was the sample size they did? And the 25% that was queried, what was the outcome? Was AI wrong or right? And because I have cases right now where AI has queried and it has turned out that AI is wrong. And the people have already incurred serious damage costs. They have paid. So who refunds that? So it's a very serious challenge that we are talking about, and they should not downplay it and fine-tune it. We will work with them. I have helped businesses from reacting since this thing introduced. And I said that let's give this thing a chance, because at the end of the day, it may turn out to be very good tool. It's not everything that we should come out and just talk against or facilitate. We are in economic advancement. We are in technology advancement. So if they come out with a tool, it could as well be very better. But it appears that the thing is just not working. It's frustrating. Very, very, very frustrating. Nothing to do about 25%. Everybody that has passed through that system is annoyed. So let them come out again. Let them suspend it. Let us suspend it for now, and let us see what we can do, move forward. It doesn't mean that they are going to, when they suspend it now, they cannot continue to mobilize revenue. The ECUMs and other systems they have put in there, the custom officers there are all efficient. They can do the work and then all that. Otherwise, the information that we have picked out is that people are rerouting their goods through other ports, and your systems are not foolproof.
Okay.
Your systems are not foolproof. So at the end of the day, the government will end up losing revenue.
Okay,
and
Mr. John, point well noted. I have to go to Mr. Obri at this point in time. I understand that he's now on. Mr. Obri, I have clear connection to you now. So please make your point.
Okay. So I was saying that has been a disingenuous because Section C7 had read the proceeding, how do you call it, section, which is the 68, tells you that if you are unable to term transaction, you are unable to determine the custom value based on the transactional value. It gives you the steps in which you should proceed. And it says it should be done in sequence. So it is not that the Section 67 gives some arbitrary powers to someone to make a determination. And in fact, when you read 68 further downwards, it tells you how you cannot determine custom values. And how you cannot determine custom values, one of them is that you cannot let the importer pay the higher of two values. The notice that came from the Commissioner General on the 10th of March essentially told custom officers that upon valuation, you take the higher of two values. So the higher of either the AI's value or the custom officer's value. So if the custom officer's value is higher than the AI's value, the custom officer should pick the custom officer's value. If the AI's value is higher than the custom officer, he should pick the custom officer's value. One other principle of interpreting a statutory document is you read them as a whole. You do not read just one piece of it and try to reframe it in a manner to suit the agenda you are pursuing. Secondly, I think that there's also, secondly, I think, let me make this point, that there's been some also very unfortunate framing of the issues. So my brother Victor says that if you are doing genuine business, you would not have an issue with the AI. That I think that the business community takes exception to. Because you cannot have everybody within the ecosystem complaining, and your response is that those who are doing genuine business would not have a problem with. That is what he is saying. You can infer from what he is saying that those of us complaining, the entire ecosystem which is complaining, is not doing genuine business. I do not think that that is the way to go. And like we have said, he mentioned that there was a 3-day stakeholder. There was a 1-day meeting on the 14th of January at Oak Plaza Airport. I have the letter here. I could share it with your producers.
Okay, my producers will be on standby for that.
Yes, it was not a 3-day meeting that was called with us. We were called for 1 day. They told us that they were implementing the AI and what it sought to achieve. And then they demonstrated the process to us.
So you were engaged.
But that is not a stakeholder engagement, because a stakeholder engagement is not just calling us to give us information. It would be to take our views and would have to work out the modalities together. And he makes a certain analogy, and I think that he oversimplifies matters to say that if you were building a house and you employed, let's say, maybe a carpenter, and he's coming to fix a door frame, I think that analogy does not work within the business community. Anybody who knows the business community knows that it is not that one person is calling another to do something. We are partners within the ecosystem. And so you cannot roll out a system without consultation to make the claim that, or to suggest or to create an analogy between a carpenter and an owner of a building is most unfortunate. And I think that all that has been done, all that has been said by my friend Victor in his submission appears to suggest as if importers, traders, we didn't even need to engage you. I think that is most unfortunate. And it's very unfortunate that he has also framed the situation as that it is those who are not doing genuine business. And we take a strong exception to that.
Okay,
look, we have
point
found
noted, Michael.
Let me land on just
please land on it.
We found an RTI. And the main reason why they are not giving us information is because of the opacity that is shared in this whole thing.
Did they respond to you saying they cannot give you the information you requested?
So, TAG, the trade advocacy has sent in and they have told them that they cannot give them that information. Now, how do you and especially when this country has a history with revenue assurance systems. This country has a history that we do not want to remind ourselves of. But we do not want to see policy makers do these things. And I mean, sometimes it is frustrating.
Michael, look, I understand you. Well, your point is well noted, but I need to get answers. That's the reason why we're having this conversation. And they're right here with me in the studio. So I'll come to them for answers. And that's what we're going to be spending the next few minutes on, answers to all the concerns that has been raised. But I'll come to Michael Ochibrefi. Let's look at the legislative part of this. You filed an RTI. You're also considering legal action against the state. Why is that?
See, let me just put on record that nobody can tell me, as I sit here, that through their investment is not getting from anything from this deal. I am telling you on authority, by next week, we will expose this government big time. And we will expose the government for everybody to know that this government and this particular issue or policy is going to be the biggest scandal that will go to this government.
Government says that there are no new charges.
We'll prove to you by that. So
you claim there are new charges?
What we know, see, there's an agreement. They had an agreement through the government, had an agreement, cost-sharing agreement. Government is supposed to take between 87 to 85%. And through there is supposed to take between 13 to 15%. That is what they submitted to PPE.
But Victor says that's not the case.
Let your research officer go to PPE and find out and come and prove to the whole world.
Do you have a copy of that at least to show us?
I have copies. I will show them to you in private.
And my producers are on standby to receive a copy so that I can verify this claim.
And I'm telling you that what I'm saying is the truth. No, believe me, what I'm telling you is the truth.
Okay, I have to see the documents.
See, these are technocrats. I understand them. I mean, so they only tell you what they know.
Okay.
And I'm telling you what is even happening is more serious than what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a situation where we'll prove to you that there's so much corruption in this thing. I'm embedded in this action that people even exchange text messages. We'll prove.
Who are you suspecting to be behind this? If you claim there's corruption, who are the corrupt officials that you have seen?
The point I'm making to you is that it was very wrong for the deputy minister to tell us, the whole world, that somebody is providing lunch and the lunch is free. It's wrong. You shouldn't have said that.
Do you see similarities between this and the SML deal?
I mean, this is even stinky than SML. I'm telling you, because you see, there are things in this deal. Why is it that they don't want people to know?
But can I see a document?
I'll prove to you.
Okay.
I'm telling you that why is it that they don't want people to know? And you cannot know. I mean, as a journalist or anybody, you cannot know what is happening. They have hidden a lot of things and they don't want the public to know. What they want the public to know is that they have implemented a policy. And the policy started on the 12th of March. And the stakeholders, why didn't they engage the people so much? Why didn't they give them?
They said they engaged.
No, I'm telling you, it was not enough. They engaged, that's the fact. But they should have done more engagement. See, to be able to answer the questions and at least meet them halfway so that they will go with you. And this wouldn't have happened. We're not expecting the masses to rise up against the policy that is purported to generate more revenue for the state.
But why is the minority
that's what the minority
against something that is supposed to bring revenue to the state?
The minority is standing and preventing the government from siphoning money from the system by way of trying to use this as a decoy. I mean, they're using this to paint the window.
Allegedly.
But I'm telling the truth.
Can you please give me documents, please, so that our producers can put it on television and our audience will be on the same page?
We're having a conversation.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to tell you, you may decide to believe me or not.
Okay.
But I'll prove to you very soon in this country that there's so much corruption. I'm telling you the fact. I mean, these people have done, the company was incorporated on the 28th of December, 2024. They came to Ghana and incorporated the business. The whole arrangement, they wrote to them in September 2025. It went to PPA. When the PPA wrote it back to government to send it to parliament, I'll prove to you with documents that this government.
Who do you feel?
I'm talking to the minister
I'm
talking to the Minister of Finance. He's the minister. I'm talking to the Commissioner General of GRA. These are the leaders of the institution.
So you feel there's corruption ongoing?
It's not that I feel. I'm telling you emphatically, with so much confidence.
But they are not here to defend themselves, and that's the thing. We cannot put out allegations against the finance minister and the GRA
There's so much corruption
without proof.
At least, see, I'm not the only one talking. You come here work. You come here to work. After you work, you earn salary. Is that not the case? How come a company that is believed to be coming from Cyprus will come to Ghana? Meanwhile, it's not a Cyprus company. The owners are Israelis. See, there are a lot of things that we know about this deal that they will come to Ghana and do this business. I mean, help you to generate money, and they don't want to take it.
But this deal was brought to Parliament.
Yes.
So why didn't you raise concerns in Parliament? As a legislator, you had the opportunity to kick against it.
In Parliament, we don't have the capacity. We don't have the strength to do that now. We can only talk. But our
so you kicked against it?
We can only talk.
The Trades Committee doesn't also have power?
We can only talk. But we see, when it comes to the floor of Parliament and as voting, we will always lose. So we will always have the voice to talk.
So you raise concerns as a committee?
Concerns, yes. And we are still raising concerns. That's why we have elevated the conversation from Parliament to the Court of Public Opinion. Let the whole world know that what we are saying is the truth. That government want to use this policy to siphon so much money from the state.
Allegedly.
To enter the pockets of politicians.
Allegedly.
And we will not allow that to happen.
Allegedly.
That's the fact.
Let me come to you for response. That's one part.
One part. The second part is, you see, we're talking about...
Briefly.
Yes, we're talking about the appeal system. Mm-hmm. And we're talking about the fact that you cannot go onto the ICAM system and run the appeal. You know that that's not the truth. You know that it cannot be the truth. That is just one part of the whole thing. You sit for the first time, at least, you have a committee that sits on the appeal. The committee had to decide before implementation can happen. That's a fact. And you know it cannot be that easy. At first, it didn't happen like that. Everything was done at the port, and it was immediate. They can solve the problem for. That is why we are saying that it is now creating more traffic and backlog. The GRA staff, we have done a lot of work in this matter. Last 3 weeks, if I tell you the work that we have done, the opposition party has done, the GRA staff, about 90% of the station officers against this policy. They know that it is creating a lot of problems for them. People are not happy. And for people who need their goods on time, they want to do business, they'll come and pay. The mere fact that they pay doesn't mean that they're happy. If you come and you intentionally tell me to pay an amount that is outrageous, it doesn't mean that I'm happy paying it.
But if that is the actual value?
But, see, you are talking, you don't understand the policy so well. We are talking about the AI coming out with fictitious figures. I mean, for the first time, taxation, we're looking at median figures.
People were under-declaring. That's what the finance ministry tells us.
But they can use other means.
Why are you pushing against this means?
WTO. Ghana is a member of World Trade Organization. America is a member of World Trade Organization. Germany is a member of... All of them, they are using the same guidelines that have been given by the WTO.
Okay.
And there are other alternatives in case that's not working. We talk about custom-to-custom arrangement. It can be done. But this government, because of corruption, because of the corruption.
Allegedly.
And I'm directing it at the Minister for Finance.
You can't do that, please. You have to. These are allegations we cannot prove. We will have to withdraw. We have to withdraw until we have substantive proof.
It's a fact. I'm telling you. It's a fact.
You have to provide us with proof.
I'll prove it.
So please, we'd like to disassociate yourself from that as JoyNews until we have substantive proof. We cannot do that. But then let me come to the Finance Ministry. You've heard the concerns that have been raised, and I want you to clear the air. Concerns have been raised about malfunctioning of the system, which you admit to, that there are challenges with that. How do you plan to deal with it effectively, such that the importers and the traders would be at peace, knowing fully well that there will not be overvaluation of the goods they're importing into the country?
Okay. So thank you very much. I think I have to apologize if any of my comments meant that I am trying to disrespect importers. Actually, I work with them a lot. I've learned a lot from them. They are part of the reason why I know what I know. And to be very honest, a lot of the importers who are disgruntled would come to you and provide information on other competitors who are doing bad things. So I will take this opportunity to apologize to them if they feel in any way my comments have made them feel bad. To answer your point, we are constantly monitoring the system to make sure that we don't create any bottlenecks to delay the implementation of the system. As I explained, the initial miscommunication is what started the delays, and that became a problem, which we have solved. Now, CTSB handles all the issues that come as appeal. They respond to all the issues. And as Honorable said, where there is a disparity and the officer feels strongly that this is beyond his level, then that is escalated to the committee for the committee to answer. And that committee is made up of CTSB officers, post-clearance audit officers, intelligence officers, and officials from the Ministry of Finance to handle that committee. So that clears that part. And it is, I think we have to note that the Publican AI information is not the first time Customs is doing this. Customs has been using the reference price over the years for a very long time. Nobody came to complain about it. Nobody was even informed they were going to use this. It is a Commissioner General's tool to assess importers that he feels that the information you have provided is not a true reflection of your transaction value. So my point was to emphasize that this is a tool to assist customs. It is not a tool to assist importers. If you're an importer, and as I have always been insisting, and maybe I'm sorry if it sounds bad, if your transaction goes to the data he was asking about, we took from the 1st of February to last time we did was 30th of March. We ran all the data in the system, and 75% of the declarations were cleared by Publican. Actually, it was 24.6% that had a problem. So our data is available, everything is available. As technical officers, we can only speak to the work we are supposed to do and provide the necessary information. I heard Honorable talk about custom-to-custom operation. We have what we call the ICE gate. That gives us information from India. And Customs is actively using it. We have a database called NADA. So if you're bringing a vehicle, NADA is used to find the manufacturer's value. And when I hear comments like they are not allowed to use this process, vehicles don't deal in your transaction price. If you're bringing a used vehicle, the commissioner by law doesn't need to even look at your transaction price. You can buy a vehicle for $1 billion. The commissioner is required to use the manufacturer's reserved price to value you. These are processes that are already being in place. It is just that for general goods, it will be difficult for you to go to each manufacturer and go and get their reserve price to assess the importer. So we say, okay, give us your transaction value. But the law also gives the commissioner the power, if he has any doubt on your information, to resort to other means, which I clearly spelled out in the law. So I think we are all working together as a country. We public officers are there to help importers and business people to do a good job. I would be happy if I get somebody who comes with a genuine case, like the one that the shoes were charged for a pair and then the price was doubled. This is an importer. I am happy to stop whatever I'm doing to make sure that whatever problem he has is resolved. As a public officer, that's what I can do. But apart from that...
But that problem would not have existed initially if the system was not in place. So in the long run, how do you ensure that this does not cause a lot of backlog and put pressure on you as you're working?
So not necessarily. The flip side you are not looking at. If we apply a price that was in 2023 to a product that has probably devalued in 2026, you will have the same problem. Initially, importers would appeal to customs. Customs will go through their process and clear it. I think the reason it has become an issue is now we know there is a system called Publican AI. So if I have that problem, then assumingly, it's the Publican which is bringing it up. So coupled with the miscommunication, then the strife came in that people are having issues. I think importers and customs have always been interacting, and it's not going to stop. So long as there is a disagreement, there will have to be that interaction. So one part of our side is to make sure that no customs operation is interrupted. So the appeal system is done on the ICOMS and is real time. The very moment we query, you respond. It is answered on that tangent. I'm even very sure that because we just implemented, that is why you have the appeal processes coming up. Over time, when the system is able to learn and adjust quickly, we are not going to have these appeal issues coming up as a point to worry.
But if there are challenges, then who do they seek redress?
Customs Technical Service Bureau.
I see. Yes. So you cannot appeal moving forward. That is if indeed they fix the system. Oh, you want to come in?
Yes, they want to come in. Customs processes have not changed. Clearance processes are still the same clearance processes. And where you have issues and you want to seek redress, it is in the same customs application system that we are using, that's the ICOMS, that you can make your appeal. You can't even make any appeal to the so-called Secretariat for Appeals. Because if you make any appeals to such a secretariat, how do you even submit your... You don't even go to Kanda to even go and submit any document there. All you do is online. Your declarant, or if you're a self-declarant, you submit your objection in the system. And it is picked up automatically by an officer at the Customs Technical Bureau, where they look at it and then assess whatever is there, the merits you have also provided and other supporting documents, and then they make a decision. Where the decision goes beyond that stage, that is when it is said that the team, which is made up of customs customs officials and members of the Ministry of Finance, to sit down to look at it holistically and then decide. Even with that, it is subject to customs rules and regulation. It is not arbitrary. And so any decision that's taken at that section is then sent back to the CTSB, of which they are members on that same committee. And the same appeals officers are there to look at that and then respond quickly to the declarant or any other person.
Okay. As a systems operator, it's imperative I ask you this question. With the concerns being raised about the system, what monitoring mechanisms do you have in place to assess the performance of the system?
Basically, the tool that we are using is we have an option in the integrated custom management system, the ICOMS, where you are able to monitor what is going on the AI. And that's what we use to look at it. At the same time, we listen to their feedback, and then we also offer a solution. More also, I would even say that if they are talking about demurrages and delays, it is very prudent on any customs house agent who is clearing goods to make use of the pre-arrival system to reduce your delays in terms of when goods are landed. And I don't think any rational trader will wait till his consignment arrives when there is a facility earlier there. And where even you have the issue of you are contesting the appeal process and you think it is going to delay, you have the option, various options within the customs operation system platform, where you can even take goods, delivery of your goods pending the decision to be taken or the decision arriving at the decision, where then you can continue with your clearance.
And the data in this system, are they safe? Because they are already concerned about cybersecurity threats.
Yes.
How sure are you?
This was certified by cybersecurity authority before even
it was deployed.
It was deployed.
Okay. Final words, 30 seconds each. I'll come to, because we were just with Mr. Michael, your wrap-up note.
A wrap-up note is that I will entreat all traders and declarants to make use of this system, and let's all help to make the system very smooth and effective, because you wouldn't need to go to manual practices when you have digital practices that will help you finish your work well. So in my submission, that's what I'm saying, that we should all look at this and join forces and let us rectify or get this system in a very smooth operation. That's it.
Okay, and as we wrap up with you, just clear the air with your last point. Who is paying for this? Just so that for those of them wondering, we want to be extremely sure.
Yes. So I would not be able to say what is being paid, but who is paying is there is a fee that is charged for processing cargo at the port. And what I know is it is out of that fee that there has been some reapportioning for the service provider to be paid. So it is not a new fee that is coming up. It is not a new tax that is coming up. And I agree with Honorable. He is not Father Christmas to be given free lunch. There is definitely going to be a payment, but it's coming out of the already established fee that is being...
Do you know the percentage?
I won't be able to say.
Okay. Mr. Michael,
so if you
we'll
want
wrap
to
up.
say the same thing to you, government is taking between 85 to 87%. The money that will be generated through this Publican AI system through there.
You say you have a news conference coming up next week.
Very, very soon.
What should we expect?
We are waiting for I filed an RTI last week. I'm waiting for the response. Then I think we'll sit down with our leader. Then we will come out to something. Definitely it's going to be. See, we have enough evidence against...
So if you have evidence, are you considering legal action against the state?
That's one of the options we are looking at.
Okay.
Yes, it's one of the options, because we believe that... I mean, my point is that we want this to succeed. But for now, a lot of people are talking about it.
So suspend?
The stakeholders are talking about it. Everybody, I mean, Association of Ghana Industry, Freight Forwarders, Importers and Exporters, Beverage Association, GUTA, everybody's talking about it. So let's suspend it. That is all we are talking about. And let's do more stakeholder engagement. Let's engage them more. Let us find out the issues. Then at least let's look at also the corrupt practices in there. Allegedly. So we're good to know that somebody is not going to take some of the 13%. That's what is. I'm so much interested in the 30 to 15%.
So while we await the RTI and the possible legal action,
yes, the 30 to 15%. Who is going to take something out of it from government?
Okay, thank
We're
you so much,
in that.
Mr. Michael Berfi. And let me wrap up with my guests on Zoom. 30 seconds each. I'll start with Mr. Awuni. Mr. Awuni, please unmute for me.
Hello?
I can hear you now. 30 seconds.
So I will say that it has been a very lovely discussion, but if we are saying that AI is supposed to be deployed to combat corruption in this country, then as a matter of fact, the entire country is riddled with corruption. So they may as well just bring AI to run the country for us so that we can deal with the issues of corruption.
Thank you so much, Mr. Awuni. And Mr. Obiri, is he on?
Okay. So yeah, I'm on. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. 30 seconds.
So what I want to say is that as a business community, we are unable to pay the duties any longer. And so businesses have already started telling their freight forwarders to not go ahead and pay duties because they cannot afford the duties. Secondly, businesses have also started telling their agents to re-export their goods back to the country that it came from. Some importers are also asking that their goods are redirected to other ports. I do not think that the gains that we have made as a country, we want to use such regressive means to whittle away the gains that we have made. And so for us, we think that the policymaker must listen to the people for whom he has implemented the policy. It cannot be that all of us
Oh dear, we seem to have lost Mr. Obiri, but your 30 seconds is up, but point well noted. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining the conversation. On Zoom, I spoke to Mr. Awuni. He's with the Food and Beverages Association, as well as Mr. Obiri. In the studio, in fact, today it was an all-Michael show. We had Michael Oshubefi from the minority, and we also have Mr. Michael Autry as well from GRA, and also Victor Baidu. We appreciate your time here on the Pulse. Well, away from that, for years, the traffic lights at Awoshie-Anyaa have remained off, turning one of Accra's busiest intersections into a deadly crossing. Residents say repeated appeals to fix the lights have gone unanswered, while families continue to mourn loved ones lost in crashes on that stretch. My colleague, Adobe Asari, visited the area. She filed this report.
The story of malfunctioning traffic lights at the Awoshie-Ablekuma Highway is not new. For motorists and pedestrians along this stretch, a faulty traffic light has become more than an inconvenience. Residents say it has become a death trap. The traffic lights have been off for years, despite demonstrations and repeated appeals to authorities. Each time they are repaired, residents say the relief is temporary. Soon after, the lights go off again, and when they do, crashes return. This stretch of road has witnessed the loss of many lives. Hit-and-run incidents have become common here. One of those grieving is Kwekwa Samoa. He lost his only son in a crash on the Awoshie-Ablekuma stretch. He believes negligence on the road cost his son's life.
10th September, day Wednesday, anopa. Timi sore na me ko bia me shop. Ana na danfo bisa me say na me nua prince way. I'm so be a wada one sorry because once what damn in next room. I'm say they are seminar see oba. To kan say oba no. Be 10 minutes time na o mai. Teach me follow up bisa say obabusa prince ase. Wo say oba but minima sem kro na bibia si ana na so ye bibia na. Ba me ko hwe dan na no dem no. Na on na ho sa time no. Teach no baka chom say omo ko Anyaa police station. Ako confirm assembly. Tina fe na madwinu ma yeme basa. Che no beka kire me say omo ko Anyaa police station. Omo say accident be for traffic light na so este prince oka ho. Na ono de we free ba motor rider no de omo arash na de no hospital. To kan sa kire me any be 10 minutes na see ade ni free Anyaa police station by say accident be si ya na omo kire say opapa wa ha. Tomo de metina akamu eko sin ho nti etwa mo eko police hospital no omo ka kire me plane say the friend prince no dey were film ba rather no dey or admission ti ampa me dinachi ene ko mo kire ko ene say eyi no ba ya no say e me ba prince no fa de ha me pa na se de be si ahawa ko duru bia no oni bibia be ye bio because makohu se nipa no ade no asi accident na si makohu ne body or mortuary ti den na beka bio ni bibia aka bio se me ba no wo film nti me kasa haye me ne o maame dia na ya tro haye pa.
He's now pleading with authorities to fix the traffic lights before another family suffers the same loss.
Sa traffic light no e start say asay no ache so many years in it is open to cross kwan no krampo a ka bien ho be gina ma o se cross gise wo gina ho a kumtamo a main traffic light no e be block wo La Paz Malam road so ansa na mo etimi ada ho ama wotimi across so enti ade se no se e traffic light no ma ni passe ni pa benya ho mfaso na e bra se ni pa twam wotimi atwam na bra se ka so ko no so etimi akọ na se beba se bi si ho na enya adwuma de a age se si ho na paso bi eni so nyamani hu ya hase nipa eku wo mo no more than 20 de mati ni de mdimani ho be 20 nti yesre se de sa traffic light na hye ne nsa na so empanimfo ehwe so no ometuma bo modern se anytime bi obo hu se chema asa ehu ato chema no omo siesie because nipa nti ne ye traffic light na de si ho nipa nkwa so ehu hia nti ade sɛdeɛ no sɛdeɛ ɛyɛ na sɛdeɛ sɛ ɔhwɛ ɛma traffic light no ɛyɛ adwuma no ɔnhwɛ ɛma yɛn.
They don't stop, they hit and run, they run away, no light, baby. Nina hit and run. A bomb wife ya do pa tu.
Normally, traffic lights decide who moves and who stops. But here on the Awoshie stretch, that responsibility has been left to drivers and pedestrians themselves. For years, these lights have remained faulty, turning this stretch into a daily test of patience and safety.
Bernardo Kumo, popularly known as Uncle Ben, is also living with painful memories. He lost his wife in a crash on this same stretch one morning.
Sorry, by 7 o'clock, or Charlie Quino, and now said traffic light in Agyeman-Rawlings, and a pow, cardboard, I don't know what the sport.
He says residents are even willing to support authorities in any way possible if it will help restore the lights.
The Siano, Yasam, they say, Pabancho. No boy, they are ready. Yeah, gun, Awoshie landlord association. We are ever prepared to support the government to renovate the traffic light for us. It's killing us. We don't need anything that the traffic light will patch out. We are begging to patch out. Yes, on my acquire my nothing you watch a quine. The Astraban. On try, depot I had out to install traffic lights and my end. Wait, the this my wife. Kunia ya. Oh, it's a patch out.
For Joyce Coker, the danger on this stretch of road has struck her family more than once. She recounts how her sister was knocked down by a vehicle while carrying her baby. The crash left her sister paralyzed. Joyce says although she later survived a similar accident on the same stretch, the memory of what happened to her sister still weighs heavily on her.
Nti na ewo man say me ti say car bobi yedimi car ba ya onu na car bo na o che car se ni nana no so hye eni ne ba ni na omu ko share over na se kura godo kwa na kasa kwa no nka bi kura ba kokoma moja aplam ni sa o ko che wo hospital pa ya ti ni kwa ka we e kire na sa ni ko du we Rich Hospital. Okoda was answer train aba. Nti we kwa me yesi me kofa na aba na nka obekasa nso na ntene nye papa. Watumi aba. Na me akasa sa me gina wo so sa na bo me. Nyame nko a ka me nso anka ebe ha adwu. Kwa mu twa ndie ni sre aban se ni sre ni pi onwu ya bobo. Edru se betwa kwa mu a mrika kwa ntwe mrika yede ka bebo. On just na betifi adu na me di mrika wa ka akwam ebetwem eye fine. Metumi abofo ka na ka akwa afa meso. Nkwala amu fi school e ban so saa. Obanwa na ka abowom. Madam for papa de ka abo no wawu. Madam for yi niku na aka sei. Onu so saa na petutu ka abo no. Ana wawu. Yes sra ban enu ti na etu aba no. Se ne be obesesie ahana maye nti enu ti na etu aba. Ema no. Kamin kwampo aka overhead ko moye man kwala no. Overhead omo yama wo mo na nka mo ba no afa overhead no abesi so ahu ebi over cross kwa na abekọ no tam na abaka si car ma me cross no tam awu be yi wuti so ya na moto bi afa nchen only light be wan no de abo.
Residents say crashes have become frighteningly common here. Awoshie, a resident, says the malfunctioning traffic lights have created another danger. Motor riders now take advantage of the chaos to snatch phones from pedestrians.
Oh bad. Phone. A song by the phone. It's yeah ba. The lights look on Omojumono. A son says traffic light near Juma. Mahaha. Bet metum. And son Bibinia. Umkweti mabaha. Sesia no Awoshie for and I say hai a penny for them. Maybe so cross a quino. Maybe any bebree sisi enye enti esese yetimi so cross ekwan no by force enti traffic na enye adwuma no yana yepese omo ye inherit say omo betimere akross ensese ebalasa drivers so ba nyamianim require ni as a express road see dim wi when you are train ejandoa ana traffic light every MPP and every abedu NDC force omienu nyina but yes say enya politics omo mahwe awura hofe omahwe abran no omwaye.
Assemblywoman for the Awoshie electoral area, Fostina Sarfo, says several attempts to get the lights repaired have yielded little success.
To be frank, Tama Nami unit committee chairperson, sa traffic light were semono, and so sorry, sir, and so sorry. Anytime be sa problem we ho, and man crofo, cabo bobo bon crofo, minim crami somebody assembly, minim cranipa be fo. Me kasa madam for your friend Rasta. Traffic light yasia na car born ba brantie manehwere ohwere nenkwa enti light na assembly yas ade a ha tutropa Awoshie man e ha papa because school ni bi wo kwan nachi ebi so wo ebi cross school ebi so cross ba 2 weeks ni abrewa bi a okofa kama wo di kwa chiri e wo ha na ye friend ye kwa na car born wo kwan na no enti to be frank light na assembly e ade e ha ye say ye ntu anamo me ni unit committee for ya ye meeting yetu anamo akọ is for almost on beba babe up to now yenti mpupuye bia nti yesre Ghana mpanfo a omokasa ewom yeni se mpanfo na didibi so eso me ye pani de batin mpanfo bi ewo ho a ewo soro yesre omokasa yeyie a omutimi kasa emasa adwuma no mutimi ye no yesre omo se omonkeka omo ho yenkasa omo ye adwuma krono so Ghana so yesre omo kai Awoshie mabunu omo kai Awoshie enkola cause enkola na omo twem ko school class eya me ya na chi ebenya doctors wom ebenya ministers wom ebenya asofofo wom yesre omo mo am ene na yema disrede.
During rush hours and at night, crossing this road becomes a dangerous gamble. Pedestrians often wait for long periods to cross, but when patience runs out, many take the risk. The result, sometimes, is tragedy. Data from the National Road Safety Authority shows road crashes in the Greater Accra region continue to rise. Residents believe malfunctioning traffic lights are part of the problem. For them, the solution seems simple. Fix the lights before another life is lost. Adobia Sorry for JoyNews.
And that's how we wrap up the pulse. For more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. Some top stories there. OSP's power to prosecute without AG's authorization is unconstitutional, and that's coming from the Attorney General. He has filed the case at the Supreme Court. You can go on myjoyonline.com to get details about that. My name is Fostina Sarfo. I appreciate your time and your company. Have a pleasant day as you enjoy the rest of our programs. Bye.
Alright, this is Let's Talk Showbiz right here on JoyNews channel, and I'm going to have a very beautiful conversation. This conversation is actually going to be a conversation that we're going to travel all the way to the Volta region of Ghana. I have a gentleman over here that is actually proud up. I mean, if you look at what he's wearing, it's actually depicting where exactly he's coming from. I mean, they love the browns, I mean, they love the reds and all of that, and that's exactly what he's doing right here. He's in the person of, what exactly is your name again? I want you to mention your name yourself.
My name is Stylish Cow C.
And you can actually see from the guy's outfit, he's actually very stylish. From a do-rag top, I remember when we used to be in senior high school, this is what we used to do, you know, put the do-rag on more or less like an handkerchief. And he has a very nice top, very petite, you know, brown up, brown down, brown shoe. And that's the guy we're talking about. When did you start doing music?
I started doing music when I was very young as a child.
When as a child?
Yeah.
And were you then going to the church? Was the church actually your place that you actually love to go?
Yeah. By then, my dad was one of the top singers in church. So.
Oh, I see. So why didn't you do gospel? Why secular?
I believe music is about message.
Okay. Not necessarily the genre or whatever it is exactly. So you believe that you have a message that you actually want to put out over there. So when you actually started music from your childhood till now, apart from your current song that you actually released, which other song have you done before this?
I've done a couple of songs, Slowly, Feelings, but they are all songs that I have released and it's on the Play Store. So.
I see. And if you look at the Play Stores, if you look at the channel at which most of your songs have actually gone to, which among the songs they've actually released, will you say that this song actually gave me a particular kind of facelift out there in the industry?
I would say Feelings.
Wow.
Yeah, Feelings.
I wish to know exactly what was in actually the content of Feelings.
Okay. Feelings talk about the kind of lifestyle we as a young people go through, and sometimes you get sabotaged.
I see.
People get to talk about
run over you and all of that.
So feelings
I can understand.
You to be yourself.
Wow.
And do what you are doing.
Exactly. Yeah. So what are some of the things that you yourself have actually been run over? I mean, as a young artist, definitely you know how Ghana we struggle basically to give faces for young artists. You know, we talk about the fact that there are no structures and all of that, but then